Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Muramasa. I think that's what we'll call it from now on. Muramasa is much simpler than the mouthful. That is the full name. The full metal name, should I say? Ho ho. Most recently, in Soko Hockey, we opened some boxes. I don't know how our main character managed to tip over a box that looked like about a meter cube. A cubic meter of water, but he managed to do it by tripping and spilled the contents of a completely normal box filled with completely normal liquids and flowers. I assure you there was nothing bad in it. Definitely wasn't a corpse. This is just a happy, sunny... It was just a happy, sunny day. Everything's good in this wonderful utopian society put together by the Rokuhara that we should all be very grateful for. See? Like, look. We're remembering the clear blue sky we gazed up at in the park that day. Must have been a lovely night. I remember the cool spring breeze that carried our hearts away. I run and run, chasing the wind, hoping it'll lead me to you. Well, that's a nice poem or song. I see you smiling by the water fountain, your arms spread wide to take me in. We joined our hands and held each other tight as we danced upon the green, green grass. I remember clearly the day, the sky beneath which we swore eternity. I'll never forget the blue of the sky, the time I spent with you. I'll never forget the sound of the wind, the dream we shared together. And I'll never forget the blue of the sky, the time I spent with you. Oh, wait, repeating? Dialogue? Okay. I'll never forget the sound of the wind, the dream we shared together. I'm leaning towards poem here. The words of an old love ballad echo down the hallway, a flat recitation without any melody or rhythm. And with the song on his lips he comes. Suzukawa, our teacher. He looks mournfully at the thing crumpled on the floor, but that's his only reaction. Even amid the thick, cloying stench, he doesn't even wrinkle his nose. I almost expect him to start class right here, so natural is his calm. Of course, I mean, there's nothing that terrifying there, surely. This is a classroom after all, one teacher and 4 students, though one is unlikely to participate.
永遠にとどめられるかもしれないと無双したのだ。
I thought I could preserve their beauty forever. His voice is a murmur as though he were speaking to the corpse of his pupil.
人間を生かすのは血液の流れだ。血の流れとともに人は生き、老い、死ぬ。ならば、血を固定すれば時を止められるはずだと信じたが。
Why, this isn't suspicious at all. It is the flow of blood that gives us life, and in time it carries us into old age and death. By stopping that flow, I hope to rescue them from the ravages of time. Well, there we have it. And we have the solution to what this guy's creepy hidden backstory is. As we all know, we were all like, there's no way this man isn't incredibly suspicious. And it seems we were proven right.
無双だった。妄想だったな。血の動きを止められた人間は、ただ腐っただけだった。
But that was a delusion. I know that now. Once their blood stopped flowing, they all just rotted away. Here, Suzukawa falls silent, but little by little I see his hands begin to tremble. He raises them before his face, scrabbling at the empty air as though to grab hold of something that offers no purchase. With bloodshot eyes, he stares longingly at something that could not be.
なぜだ?
Why? He cries at last.
なぜだ? なぜ失われるのだ? どうして美しいものはいつまでもそのままでいることができないのだ?
Why do they leave me? Why don't they stay beautiful forever?
なぜ必ずこの手からこぼれ落ちるのだ?
Does everything slip through my fingers?
呪いなのか?
Is this a
これは
curse on
呪い
me?
なのか?
On all of
人
us?
が背負う宿業とかいう呪いなのか?
Yes, the curse of entropy, my friend. Things decay unless otherwise maintained.
美しいものが永遠ではないのなら、必ず醜く朽ち果てるものであるのなら。
If beauty cannot last forever, if all things must grow ugly and die. Entropy, right?
人は決して幸福になれないではないか。幸福というものがただ不幸の母親でしかないのならば。
And no one can ever be happy. Not when happiness only leads to more suffering. I suppose despairing at the natural entropy of the world is a legitimate thing to do. Although one would have thought that the Christianity he claims to have followed would have shielded him from this despair, since that is one of the things Christianity has a solution for. After all, you reach eternal peace and happiness in heaven, right? Thus at the end of entropy, right? So he's like, you know, why does beauty not last forever? And I would say, well, in heaven God is eternal, and in heaven things are all eternal. Therefore, the impermanence of beauty in the physical world, in an imperfect world such as the physical world, doesn't matter, because you'll soon enter an eternal world, a world where things can last forever, and beauty will last forever. But I'm thinking he's not actually following that philosophy. His voice is choked with grief, hate, and a tangle of emotions. I hear rage bound with the chains of despair and regret, dulled by the grindstone of resignation. This is Suzukawa. This is Suzukawa, the truth of the man that he hid from us all. The words keep coming. A flood that will not end.
せめてもう少しマシな世界であれば、優しい世界であれば、美しいものを守り通せたかもしれないのに。
Only it's for a brighter world, a gentler world. I could have saved them.
ロクハラ、なぜこのような時代なのだ。なぜ奴らごとき悪逆無慈悲な山賊連れが春の謳歌を許されるのだ。
Rokuhara, why are those jackals, those rapists and murderers allowed to flourish and prosper?
神はない、正義もない。美しき良き人々に幸福は約束されない。
There's no God, there's no justice, there's no happiness for the beautiful and pure.
人面の獣が婿の人々を引き裂き食らい、そして獣はまた食える。それが世界。我々の世界だ。
Thanks for the follow, my dude. Beasts shaped like men prey on the innocent, feasting and growing fat and strong. It's the world we live in, those are the rules we're bound to live by. It's rough. I feel like I have, but it's always nice to see it again. Maybe it was an alt account, because your name is very familiar.
何ができる？
Maybe
こんな
minus the
世界
Y.
で。
What can we do? Nothing. There's no escaping this hell.
何もできないではないか。三途の川の石積みだ。
The harder we try, the tighter our chains.
我々は鬼を喜ばせるだけの餌なのか。そう悟れというのか。
Am I supposed to accept it then? That we're but cattle for slaughter? I suppose in this case, the best you can do is rebel against the world?
敵をもの
How
か。
can I?
私は守りたいのだ。美しきもろもろを。
Can I, my dude? How can I want to protect the beautiful? Step 1, don't destroy. Step 2, help?
それが叶わぬのなら。叶わぬのなら。
But if I can't, if there's
ど
no
う
hope,
すればいいのだ。
what am I supposed to do?
壊すしかないではないか。この手で壊すしかないではないか。獣の餌になる前に、せめて美しいうちに。
Destroy them. with my own 2 hands. Before they become food for the beasts, Mother Beauty is still whole. While it's still beautiful, destroy it before its image can become tarnished in your mind. Okay. Can be said that might be better. After all, I'm sure you've seen plenty of IPs go steadily downhill as people milk them for more money. Unnecessarily creating lifeless stories and ruining your childhood. So you can totally see how it would be better to just have the entire IP destroyed. And never... or the story fall apart. Maybe the company go bankrupt. Then see a remake of something you once liked. The lifeless husk of something that was once great, shambling about. I can see that argument. And finally he howls. He howls in condemnation of this world and its gods. He lifts his accusing gaze to the heavens and disgorges his hate, then falls limp, arms dropping to his sides as though the life has left him. The last few words fall from his lips like the dregs of a dirty sponge. I have to destroy them. No. An even fainter voice, but whose? Resists the silence. You did this? Why?
惜しいからだよ、ニッタ。惜しいからだよ、ニッタ。
Because I love them, Nita. Because I lose them, Nita. Suzukawa's gaze is fixed on me, though surely it wasn't I who spoke.
美しいものが腐り果て失われることに私は耐えられない。耐えたくもない。
I can't bear to watch the things I treasure rot and die. Never again. I saw it with my own eyes.
美しかった妻子の顔が闇衰えてゆくの。いつも温かな言葉をくれた口が苦悶の税名しか聞かせてくれなくなるの。目の当たりにしていたのだ。
I watched my beautiful wife and daughter wasted away. Their loving whispers turned to cries of agony and despair. I watched and did nothing.
あの時私は行動するべきだった。
If only I'd
手を
acted
つか
then.
めてただ見ているのではなく、
If only I hadn't stood by.
あの子らが醜くなってしまう前に美しいうちに終わらせてやるべきだった。苦しみから救ってやるべきだった。
I should have ended it while they were still beautiful before disease made them ugly. I should have saved them from their suffering.
あの時の私にはそれができなかった。希望だよ。
It was hope.
希望を捨てられなかったのだ。
Hope stayed my hand.
この世には救い主がいて、慈悲を垂れてくれるという希望を。
The hope that somewhere in this wide world there was a loving God who would show them mercy. Your hope is misplaced.
人が呪われているのなら、この希望というやつこそは最後の一筆だと思わないか？囚人を拷問台から逃さないための鉄の枷だ。
If mankind is truly cursed, then hope is the nail that seals our fate, don't you agree? It's the iron shackle that keeps us bound to the chopping block? Of course, of course. Hope is the first step on the road to disappointment, my friend.
だが私はもう
Quoting
後
Quota
悔
K
し
there.
たく
Don't
ない。
actually believe that.
そんな希望は二度と持たない。
No more will I regret. No more will I hope.
今この時は悪意の御代だ。美しいものは必ず失われる。守り通す方法はない。
This world is ruled by greed and malice. All that is beautiful will be ground to dust, and
愛
so...
する美しきもろもろよ。私のこの手で。
My beautiful, precious children, come and die by my hand. A crash rocks the classroom. Dust and debris clog the air, and something has burst through the building's floor, splintering the hard wood like candy glass. The cracks, long and deep, all lead to the same point at Suzukawa's back. The dust clears, revealing a monstrous shape. A centipede, its 100 legs wriggling at Suzukawa's back. Its crushing mandibles clack together, its paired antennae sniff the air. Compound eyes peer down at us, and its hard exoskeleton gives off a faint yellow sheen like burnished steel. Its shape is perfectly ordinary, no different than the centipedes you'd find lurking under fallen logs. The only problem is its size. What insanity is this? It's a big ass. Let's just hide the text box. That is a big ass centipede. If you consider it's presumably at or above head height. Then goes down, loops around, and I don't even know where it comes from to get back around to have that tail thing, but man, that is a long-ass centipede. I bet there might even be more than 50 pairs of legs here. Yeah, that's a lot of legs. A lot of legs. That's a big-ass centipede, man. I don't want to deal with that. At least it's a mechanical centipede and doesn't look like an actual bug. I'd be like running because it's a centipede and be like, ah, fuck the fact that it's a robot. Fuck this centipede. I ain't dealing with this shit. It dwarfs Suzukawa, its head brushing the rafters, though half its body, or perhaps more, remain buried in the floor. Each of its legs is as long and thick as a grown man's arm. Jesus, that's huge. That is a huge, huge-ass mechanical centipede. Can such a centipede truly exist? No, not in the natural world. And indeed, I slowly come to realize that its shining carapace is made of steel. A tsurugi. I recall one of our history lectures, a few words that slipped into my head while I wasn't paying attention. True tsurugi. Those forged by peerless artisans are able to take the form of animals and act independently of their masters.
Shinkai.
Shinkai. The centipede bursts apart, its pieces scatter, surrounding Suzukawa like a cage of bronze. In their midst, he takes a stance. A phrase stirs in a corner of my frozen mind. The rite of armoring. How might I call forth the moon from my soul? That its light may shepherd the lost through the darkness. You know, I think, I know this is like anime and or movie logic, where like characters sit there and like, you know, can get off like what would in real life be like a 30-second cast spell. Like spend 30 seconds doing a transformation, but like if you were seeing this and you're like, oh wait, he's got a tsurugi. If you had the presence of mind, which this kid may not, you have two choices. Either you try to kill him before the magic armor goes on him because it will make him invincible, or you run and pray to God you can somehow find someone else who has one in like the 2 minutes it'll take him to kill you. Like maybe he just doesn't want to go out in the open. And that said, you're like miles away from the nearest house, so you're probably screwed here. And you'd best hope for a miracle, so yeah, might need to throw something at him. That its light may shepherd the lost through the darkness. Oh, that was actually pretty fast. Damn, alright. And then it stands before us. Amusha, the embodiment of might. He hasn't drawn his sword yet, but what difference does that make? What need would a Musha who can kill a man with a flick of his finger have of a sword in this place? Even were he sound asleep, he could surely kill any one of us before we had time to draw breath. Amusha is here and he has promised us death.
Kazama, Nitta, Inagi, Kurusuno. Omae-tachi wa ii nakama da na.
Oh, are the other boxes for us? Was he planning this the whole time? There are multiple boxes. I didn't consider that. Also, he's got like writing on all his armor. It looks like it's mostly the same. That's kind of cool. Kazuma, Nitta, Inagi, Kurusuno. You four are truly the best of friends. Always thinking about each other. Free and easy at play. Your friendship is beautiful, dazzlingly so. The The sus teacher going for it. I won't let you rot. I have no wish to bear witness to the inevitable collapse, the inevitable misery, and therefore I will end it here and now. Understanding comes in a flash. I'm going to die. Before me is death itself in a form so unmistakable as to crush any attempt at denial. My brain screams, Musha, Musha, Musha. Death, death, death. Why is the Musha here? Musha equals Rokuhara, but Suzukawa isn't Rokuhara. So why is he a Musha? This isn't right. Can't be happening. Don't run. Suzukawa's muffled voice speaks to me. Don't run, he says, yet makes no move to follow. After all, I haven't escaped. I'm still within his reach. Where can I hide? How far must I run? I can't stand. How long will it take me dragging my ass across the floor to escape this Musha who can cross 1,000 leagues with one burst of his engine? If you're afraid, close your eyes. I'll end it quickly. It'll be just like going to sleep. I shake my head desperately, eyes open wide. I mustn't close them. One blink and I'm dead. The Musha turns his head to look at Konatsu and Tadayasu, and then perhaps seeing in them the same thing he sees in me, he sighs behind his steel mask. You three still don't understand, do you? You don't know how cruel this world is? Of course you don't. These are the best years of your life. I like how this guy's like eyebrows are mini centipedes. That's kind of cool. The writing on the armor, the like gold and steel plate is really nice. The weird tube things were kind of unexpected because they seem a little bit out of place and unnecessary, but it's fine. I'm assuming they're like somehow powering the jetpack he's got on his back. Remember, they got like big ass jetpacks, right? Like their jetpacks aren't super compact. So I'm going to imagine that like that's the fuel, that's like the magical fuel line. Don't ask me where the magic comes from or what's inside it. I don't know. It's just there to look cool. That's what I'm assuming it is. It like leads into his backpack or actually is like the propulsion system. This one also alternates large and smaller if it's using large ones on like the corners and at midpoints. That's kind of cool. They put some nice detail into like the rivets on the thigh plate and groin. He's got 2 swords instead of 1, despite the fact that he probably wouldn't ever need to draw a short sword, considering he could probably just cut through the building. Maybe it's for when you're fighting in an underground concrete bunker or something and it's actually hard to get through. Only the ignorant are allowed happiness. The Legends of Eden have it right. Knowledge is the end of happiness. Oh, I just noticed he's got like on his shoulder pads, he has like what appeared similar to leather flaps right below the text on the shoulder pads. But I assume those are actually metal, so it's like emulating an aesthetic it doesn't actually have. That's an interesting idea. It looks really good. I just realized that like everything here is metal. There's no leather here. So those wouldn't be leather straps on his shoulder pads in like a sort of like Roman style, I guess. Actually, I don't know if that's used at all in Japanese armor style. That looks cool. And like the layered pieces of his helmet remind me a little bit of like Chitin, which is good because he's, you know, bug themed. I think they did a good job with this guy's design. It's a good looking mech. Good looking suit of power armor. Knowledge is the end of happiness. You don't know, so you reject what I offer, even though it will only make your deaths harder. We can't have that. Death must be salvation. It must come as a blessing. You need some foundation. So is it time for torture? After all, if it's gonna have to come as a blessing, they need to want it, right?
お前たちの担任として最後の授業をしよう。
This will be our last class. My final responsibility as your teacher.
美しさの崩壊をお前たちに教えよう。死の安息の前に生の苦痛を教えてやろう。
I will show you how beauty crumbles. I will teach you suffering before I grant you death. With the cold metallic sound, the Musha draws his sword. The gleaming blade is a slender, more suitable piece for a ceremonial procession rather than actual battle. Okay. No, I'm wrong. The blade is massive, wider than my entire arm. The blade is wider than your arm. He's a kid, so it's probably pretty small still, right? Okay. It only looked slender when compared to the titanic bulk of the tsurugi holding it. I'm trying to think of the right scale. The blade is wider than his arm. I think that's about right. I think that's about right. It's still power armor, right? I'm like... He would have broken through the ceiling if he was that big. From now on, this is only a dream. Nothing that happens is real. Keep telling yourselves that. As the blade scaled up, and I'm thinking like, yeah, I could see a blade being wider than my arm. If it was on a suit of power armor. Nothing that happens is real. Keep telling yourself that. You must die beautiful after all. The Musha vanishes from sight, and an instant later, his blade slices into view from behind me, its edge grazing the little hairs on my neck. Let's set the following rule. Whoever sacrifices another will be spared. His voice comes from just above my head, its proximity chilling me to the bone. Do you find this rule appalling? Of course you do. But what's truly appalling is that there isn't anything unusual about it. If you take another's food, you will not starve. If you take another's money, you prosper? Well, that's just how the world works. Kurusuno. Kanatsu jerks at the sound of her name, but says nothing. She just stares at the Musha I can feel behind me, eyes white with fear. Suzukawa continues unperturbed. Ask me to kill Nita instead of you. What? What was that? I feel like I heard something horrible. What was it? Do that and I'll spare you. How about it? Her response comes before the Musha is finished. She shakes her head emphatically, though no sound escapes her throat. Naturally. I sense the Musha nod calmly above me. We're not powerless against the rules we find abhorrent. Our conscience, the sense of beauty at the core of our being, allows us to resist them. A healthy person's conscience won't condone the sacrifice of another for his own sake. Will find it ugly, contemptible, offensive to his sensibilities. Okay. As he speaks of beauty, the human beauty he so loves, there is no trace of joy in his voice. Why? However, he continues, his tone clinical. Wasn't he lamenting the weakness of beauty a moment ago? That sense of beauty is only able to function because we lack the capacity to imagine what horrors reality can visit upon us. A flash of light passes before my eyes. He did something to me, I realize instinctively. But what? His shining blade is poised vertically before my eyes. Its tip is... There's no blood. That's why. Must be why I didn't notice at first. Its tip is buried in my foot. But there's no blood. The sight, it doesn't seem real. He sounds like what you find on I'm 16 and this is deep. It's true. It's very true. Some of what he says is true, which is of course why it's on it. I'm 16 and this is deep. But it's incomplete. And he comes to a very negative conclusion, although I can somewhat see why he's reached it, I suppose. His follow-through is a little bit unusual, though. It's like, some of his conclusions you can agree with. Some of his ideas you can agree with, but his conclusions don't seem to make sense. An ideological perspective that's half-assed? Yeah. I think I see that. That's where it seems it's like, okay. It's like nothing lasts forever, okay. Like you can say that and you can be like, yeah, I can see why people despair at that. You could even see why people would lose it over that. But then he just says, therefore I should destroy everything that's beautiful. And I'm like, wait, that doesn't really make sense. If you value beauty, why destroy it? Because I mean, you can say like, why create? That makes sense, right? You're like, everything I create will come to ruin. Why should I make anything? That is acceptable, right? You're like, why would I make anything? But if it's like, everything that's beautiful will be destroyed, therefore I should destroy it, doesn't quite follow from the premise that he's posing. I mean, you can fill in the blanks a little bit, like I think we have, where we're like, okay, well maybe he's saying, you know, he wants to destroy it so that he doesn't have the memory of it slowly rotting and being destroyed, ground out, presumably by the Rokuhara, because this guy hates the Rokuhara, right? We could presume that's his issue. But he seems to be causing the suffering of the things he values rather than attempting to cause harm to the Rokuhara, so either he's in complete despair because the Rokuhara seem invincible. That's one possibility. Or he's just out of his mind, which to most of you probably seems like the more reasonable answer. This guy's just crazy. The sight doesn't seem real, and there's no pain even. Once again, it's my instinct that first realizes the truth. My brain hasn't caught up yet. Here it comes. The blade twists. Lightning surges through my body, searing me to the core. Pain. There's nothing but pain. Every nerve in my body cries out, but they're not enough to contain it. The pain overflows, bursting from my throat. I howl in the voice of a wounded beast. I writhe helplessly on the dusty floor, wailing and moaning like a fox in a trap. In some still intact corner of my mind, I sense Konatsu and Tadayasu looking on in abject despair. Now then. His voice is distant, like that of a king on his throne.
ではクルスノ、もう一度お前に聞いてみよう。このままお前の代わりに新田を痛めつけても構わないか?
Nita is in no condition to answer, so it's back to you, Kurusono. Shall I keep torturing Nita instead of you? Another horrifying question. The silence that follows is longer than before. I'm in no position to see or hear her, but Suzukawa seems to recognize her answer. The same answer as before. I see. Well done, Kurusono.
クルスノ、お前の美意識は苦痛の想像に耐えられるということだ。
Your conscience is strong enough to resist the threat of pain. I guess so? I would not say strong enough to resist the threat of pain. I would actually say it's like... Or wait, hold up. Let's see.
だが、苦痛は恐怖の
Your conscience is strong enough to... She says no. She answered no last time, and she says the same answer as before, which means no. If she says no, then he's saying no, me. So she's well strong enough to center pain. Okay, that makes sense, yeah. Pain's but one of the many horrors. It's not the only, nor is it the greatest. As the storm of pain finally starts to calm, though, I know it's just my nerves overloading and not an end to the pain itself. I sense the Musha move away. Then I hear a gasp and what sounds like a futon hitting the floor. Straining to bring my neck around, I see Konatsu lying on her back with the bronze Musha over her. The Musha has his sword in a reverse grip, its tip hovering above Konatsu's throat. This is the fear of death. Her eyes are locked on the glittering blade. She can't move a muscle and she can't do a thing. The Musha, however, has infinite options, one of which is to lower his weapon just 3 centimeters more. Should I wish it, or should my grip falter even a little, you'll die. And me, I'm here just thinking, isn't that blade supposed to be wider than her entire arm? Or wider than her arm is? It doesn't look wider than her arm. Her wrists, I know there's like some magnification due to distance here, but her wrist seems wider than the blade at all points. Ah, whatever. Not a big deal. Like, I almost think this could be drawn as like a regular katana instead of like a giant power armored one. But it should only be like maybe 50% larger than a regular one, right? It's not supposed to be like Titanic. It's just big because he's wearing power armor. You think this guy's just power tripping? That he can decide what's... Power tripping? Yeah, he's kind of just power tripping. I don't think his, I don't know if his lessons seem entirely rational. I'm like holding judgment on that though. He seems like someone who just power trips because he's like feeling awful about how he had no power when his family was in danger. So now he's wielding power over other people because he can't beat the Rokuhara. So he hates them for doing things that resulted in his family dying, but he can't do anything to them, so he just like abuses power on other people, right? He's like your normal bully. He's like your normal bully origin story. You know, has a bad life at home, so he takes out his frustration on other weaker people at school. It's literally that, except it's a teacher. The bully is the government, and he's the school is... This school is where he's bullying people. I mean, they might be just trying to push that he's like super deluded. I'm fine with that. You are facing death. He enunciates every word to make the message clear, speaking with the same calm tone I've heard in countless lectures, a touch of the familiar to add spice to the nightmare. We are pupils in a mad class, led by a mad teacher. You know the rules. How about it? Konatsu does not reply. She can't reply. But of course, no teacher will take silence for an answer. The blade drops 2 centimeters. A gasp escapes from Konatsu's throat. For one terrible second, I wonder if it's coming from a new hole. But it isn't. The blade has not yet entered her flesh. It's only brushing against her throat, perhaps piercing a single layer of skin at most. Konatsu's lips tremble as though she wants to cry out, but can't. Suzukawa is silent. He doesn't repeat his query, but then he doesn't have to. His question is focused on the tip of his blade, impossible for Konatsu to forget or ignore. It's the threat of imminent death, and Konatsu keeps her silence. Despite her terror, she does not give in to Suzukawa's demand. Well, for the first time since this began, Suzukawa shows surprise. Your bond is stronger than expected. Even under
美し
the
いな。
threat of death, you
Yeah.
cannot sacrifice your friend. Beautiful. Truly beautiful. And then, Suzukawa lifts his sword from Konatsu's throat. Konatsu exhales a great whoosh of air like a heavy boulder has been lifted from her chest. I follow suit, feeling relief wash over me even through the pain. That might be short-lived, my friend. That's one threat past. Not that we're in any less danger. I can feel my senses returning little by little. My thoughts regain some semblance of order. Calm down, and get us out of this. Suzukawa is nuts, but he can be talked to, and he doesn't want to hurt us, right? There has to be something I can do, I'm sure of it. Our character has been thinking for far too long. I just need to find the right words and be careful not to provoke him. Come on, you can do this. I look up. Suzukawa is staring at me. Whatever I was about to say vanishes from my mind instantly, and I see myself reflected in his cold steel eyes.
では、
Now then. Say something. Say something. If you don't,
次だ。
let's move on. Oh shit, his armor is glowing now. Alright. All the text is glowing and he's got glowing red eyes. Oh, that's cool. Okay. I was down with like the black eyes, cause you know, why make your eyes glow? That doesn't make sense. I was down with that. Cause it was practical, but I'm also down with glowing red eyes and glowing armor, cause it looks fucking sick. His blade flashes, I hear it slice the air. There's no sound of it cutting flesh, yet somehow I can't bring myself to feel relief. My hand goes to my throat. Did he cut me? There's no blood. But there's no blood coming from my foot either, so that doesn't comfort me one bit. Okay, my head's attached, or seems to be, but then what did he do? Oh. Huh? What? What am I looking at? Something's missing here. Hold on, that can't be right. Konatsu seems surprised too, and it's no wonder. She kinda needs those. Oh, there they are. Legs or arms? I'm trying to figure out which it is. Just a little ways away, lying on the floor, are her missing parts. Whew, I was worried for a second there. You got a minute? I'm talking to you. Yeah, you. Okay, I could really use your help denying reality here, my imaginary friend. I got a question for you. Don't worry, it's an easy one. There's nothing wrong here, right? It's all normal, right? Right? It's normal. But class is just getting started. Tadayasu looks up. His eyes are empty, but they focus on the Musha's sword. Its blade is pristine, not one drop of
普通
blood.
には耐えられる。死の恐怖にも抗える。だが、体を破壊されるという恐怖はそれらとは質が違う。
Pain can be withstood, and so can the fear of death. The fear of being crippled, however, is a different animal entirely. Okay.
苦痛には終わりがある。
Pain ends,
死は
and
一
death
瞬
is but an instant. The loss of a limb, however, is a curse.
肉体の破壊は人の未来に対する永久不利の呪詛だ。肉体を壊された者は未来を奪われながらなお生き続けなくてはならない。
The victim of this curse must go on living, knowing his future has been lost forever. While the healthy and whole can never truly understand how this feels, we can imagine it with ease. I have a question for him. He is a teacher. Is he aware that people will literally die if they lose their feet? Or their hands and don't get almost immediate medical attention? Like, I don't wanna like ruin his, you know, monologue, but that's not a curse of being crippled, that's actually just killing someone. If you don't have a way to stem the blood flow. And I mean, you did some clean cuts, removing some parts, but missing parts, my friend. We'll see what he actually cut off in a second.
最大の恐怖の一つだ。自分の体に託す未来を持つものであれば。
In any ways, this is a fear greater than that of death. All the more so for one whose dreams depend on his body.
お前はレーサーになりたがっていたな、稲木。手足は愚か、指一本の損失でも、その未来は閉ざされてしまうだろう。
Your dream was to become a racer, wasn't it? Even the loss of a finger would end that dream, to say nothing of an arm or a leg. Konatsu does not respond to any of this. Her eyes stare vacantly into space. Suddenly it comes to me, this is a puppet show. Neither of these dolls is human. They're toys performing for their master's amusement. 10 seconds pass. Then 20. 30. A sob reaches my ears. 40. Tears begin to fall. 60. And then, as if a dam has begun to burst, Konatsu begins to wail. Her cries are high, pitiful, the lamentations of a powerless thing, savage beyond all reason. The bronze giant steps forward, sword in hand, and with a single stroke, he takes Tadayasu's eyes. A flash of silver, a spray of blood. Tadayasu jerks back and then tumbles to the floor, clutching his face. Wordless howls issue from his throat. He howls for the future he's lost. Something seeps between his fingers, blood, and other fluids. Tadayasu continues to scream. Little by little his screams turn to sobs. Now there are two voices weeping. And now you know. This is how beauty crumbles. Suzukawa speaks, lamenting the suffering he himself caused. Greed and fear corrode the bonds of friendship. Sudden, senseless violence shatters your future. How weak you are, how fleeting beauty is. This music seems thoroughly inappropriate to this scene. I haven't had too many problems with this visual novel yet, but I feel like this music is completely detached from the scene. Both the rant he's having and the current scenario and perspective are completely wrong. For the limbs, you can reattach if you act fast enough, even more if you cut it super clean. Absolutely. But I would say that's a big if. You say that's possible, and we know it is. But here's the thing: this guy's parents died from this guy's family died from the flu because they literally couldn't afford flu medicine. Like it doesn't. No, sorry, he had money because he has a freaking musha, or because he's a musha. And it was basically that it was like infinitely expensive. And remember, a train ticket costs 3 months' wages here. How much do you think a surgery costs? What are the odds that they have universal healthcare that is useful? I would say very, very low. A world with cloning and magic mechs. Yes, cloning and magic mechs exist, so you could very realistically grow another arm if you needed to. You could grow a clone, cut off the clone's arm, and graft yourself a new arm if you really had to. But again, train tickets cost 3 months' wages. I don't think the average person can afford a clone, because that's part of the cost of building a tsurugi, and tsurugis require an entire nation's efforts to produce. They are established, new body arts get rejected. Yeah. But I mean, you do get rejection in normal organ transplants too, right? That's what that is a known issue, but I think they said the medical applications were failing, so probably doesn't work. It should be possible for them to reattach limbs. Absolutely, but whether or not they can, because they'd have to carry her limbs back to the hospital, assuming she's not dead, and they're not in a situation where they can tourniquet her missing limbs. Assuming she's missing a limb and not, like, a few fingers. Which, while pretty awful, probably won't kill you as quickly as missing 2 hands. Because in that case, you have like how long would you live if you lost both your hands? Let's find out. Both hands cut off, time to live. Let's see. If you sever a limb and are unable to staunch the flow of blood, you would be dead within 30 minutes. Oh, that answers that question. Okay. That's 1. Both might actually increase that speed. So you'd be maybe down to like, I'm gonna say like 20 minutes. I'm gonna say 20 minutes and you will actually be dead. He's counted to 60 and had a couple rants, but it's other than the full minute, we don't know how long it's been. Wait for lost beauty. Wait for its impotence. It's all we can do. All anyone can do. The Musha cries out, raising his arms like a maestro conducting an orchestra of the damned. Is he too weeping behind that metal mask of his? I think I hear his teeth grind as he chokes back tears. This is Suzukawa's final lesson. The world is ruled by greed and malice, he says, with only despair awaiting those unfortunate enough to be born into it. Now I should stop a second and say, if he is the Golden Knight, then in the nighttime encounter, the other Musha is the Spider Musha. Or not Musha, Tsurugi is a Spider Tsurugi. The one useful thing about spiders in this exact scenario is that a spider could very reasonably create rope in like 1 second. So there's a chance anyone who's missing a limb could actually live through this if the spider shows up, because they'd immediately have materials to make a tourniquet. One that's probably one that is probably better than using an actual rope. And depending on if it's watertight, I don't remember. I assume you could possibly make spider silk that's watertight. You might just be able to. You might be able to do anything. You might be able to make a bandage out of it too. Depends on how practical it is. We'll find out. So, shouldn't he self-mutilate with his ideological approach? I believe... this is Suzukawa's final lesson. The world is ruled by greed and malice, he says, with only despair awaiting those unfortunate enough to be born into it. First of all, people rarely follow their own ideals. Own ideologies. And, second, I would assume that he considers the loss of his family to be, like, crippling, like the loss of his limb, like a loss of a limb. Assuming he thinks he's following his own beliefs. You have to lose something precious. Since he doesn't have their family, he's just cutting pieces of them off and causing them direct suffering. Physical pain versus his emotional pain, he probably just evaluates those as all the same. So he probably sees his own pain. He also probably does not perceive himself as beautiful. That's why he's attacking children, because he perceives them as innocent and beautiful, and thus things he has to destroy, whereas he feels like he's already a fucking... he knows he's a fucking edgelord, so he doesn't consider himself beautiful, and thus not something he should destroy. That's where I think he's leaning. I mean, we gotta cope really hard for him to do that, but it's not too far out. What? What? Someone's crying. The sound drives nails into my chest. It's Konatsu. Konatsu is crying. I never wanted to hear her cry like that again. But that's exactly what's happening. What did I do wrong? You trusted the obviously suspicious teacher. It is what it is though, man. We've all been there. Curse this nightmare and weep in despair, but fear not! I will release you, and you will weep no more. Sleep forever in beauty. What? Despair? What are you saying? Hey, there's something wrong here. There's something very wrong here. Sorry, Suzukawa, I'm having a bit of trouble thinking straight. With my leg on fire, but haven't you made a mistake? Isn't everything you're saying just one big lie? Absolutely. I mean, my friends are sobbing. The sound calls something up from inside me. Is this despair? I see them lying broken on the floor. The sight calls something up from inside me. Despair? This is despair? No. Certainty takes hold. This feeling can't be despair. At least this guy is not like, wow, this guy makes sense. I mean, I don't think this guy's making sense either, so... I'm just coping for him and trying to make trying to order his thoughts for him. I don't think Suzukawa is making all that much sense either. And our person is currently the protagonist, so he's obviously going to come up with something else, a different feeling. Yeah, we know he's nuts, there's not too much sense to get. Yeah, but you can kind of try and like figure out what he's sort of thinking, or what the author's trying to make him think. What the author thinks the character should be thinking. You feared the world would acknowledge any of his BS? Oh, I assume this might just be like a super depressing VN. We don't know yet, right? Or I don't know yet. People have said there's no good people in this story, so it might be. He might just be like telling you how things are gonna go for this story. This might be like loose or general purpose foreshadowing for like how the story arc's gonna go. Or this might be just showing you the reality of like what people are gonna be like in this story. So the world might be acknowledging some or all of his BS, but our protagonist doesn't seem to be willing to acknowledge it yet, which is good. Which is cool. At least this is a moment where we can kind of root for our protagonist, right? They're setting up a situation where we can root for our protagonist pretty clearly. Alright, this feeling can't be despair. Not if despair means we should give up and die, because sooner or later we'll end up like this anyway. Is this what you're saying, Suzukawa? Like hell. I bend my knees and plant my hands on the floor. It looks like I'm kowtowing, but who gives a fuck? As I struggle to move, the pain surges back full force, but who gives a fuck? I try to stand and my legs won't support me. Fine, calling up the strength my arms can muster, I manage to lift my upper body. Suzukawa slides into view. He's got both arms raised above his head, staring at the ceiling, like he's high on his own awesomeness. What a fucking tool! To be fair, I'd be thinking that too, man. What a fucking tool. I mean, not those exact words, but I'll accept it. He has the same conclusion. Yeah, he has the same conclusion as any sane reader. Wow, this guy's fucking nuts.
Boy.
Hey, you.
Nita?
Nita? Suzukawa sounds surprised. Did the dumbass forget I was here? Well, yes, turning toward his armored head toward me. Are you ready for the end?
Yeah.
But first I got a question. Okay, let's hear it. Suzukawa prompts me, his tone still that of the teacher. This guy either has an ego harder than Diamond or he's a fucking idiot. Maybe both. Hey, our BN protagonist has panicked multiple times. The only good thing is that he's been in this situation for so long that he'd actually calm the fuck down. Like, a lot of the time our protagonist panics and the scene is over in like 1 minute, right? Like he just panics and panics and panics and the scene is over a minute later. And it's like super cringe. In this situation, it's not been like 10 seconds. In universe, they had a full minute of nothing happening. Like they're just sitting there, no dialogue, no nothing, in universe, just sitting there, which is giving him like the time to calm down and act semi-rationally. Because he was panicking really early on, right? He panicked, did nothing early on, just kind of sat there and watched. While Kanatsu's bleeding out, I mean, she's got an excuse for not doing much here. Kanatsu's bleeding out. She doesn't need to do anything other than try not to die here. What I'm feeling now, is this despair? Correct. The helmet nods. It's despair, which consumes everyone in the end. Happiness is its soil and hope its fertilizer. If it is the incurable disease that condemns us all. Everything beautiful will rot and die, and it is when we realize this truth We learn despair. It's proto Junko. True. He's obsessed with despair. From the transience of all things. But it's Samurai Monokuma. He's a True, he is a teacher. Although he's causing injuries to people instead of causing them to injure each other. He clearly does not understand the depths of despair. This is more like this is like Monokuma or Junko's early stages. They don't really understand despair yet. They're just edgy and are towing into it. They're towing into despair. Or maybe they're one of those wannabes that saw Junko and thought she was awesome, but never understood things. You know, like all her lieutenants.
喜びに満ちていた生はいつか必ずこの世の悪意によって腐らされ行き着く果ては絶望という終点
However bright your joy may be, evil will inevitably blacken it. In the end, there is only despair. It is the law of nature, as you yourselves now know. Okay, but there's something I don't get. What's it? This thing you call despair. It sure sounds a hell of a lot more. It sure sounds a hell of a lot more peaceful than what I'm feeling now. I slam my fist into the floor, using the energy to lift my body. At the same time, I bring my legs underneath me to go from kneeling to squatting. The pressure drives my wound wider, and once again, lightning sears my body. No problem. I clench my teeth and force the pain into my gut. My knee extends, further increasing the weight on my foot. Agony? Ignored. I stand. I face Suzukawa, my enemy. I flex my elbow and cock my fist at my side. What? How is he becoming a demon hunter? We haven't even met any demons. Let alone let one possess us. Suzukawa looks confused. He doesn't understand what I'm about to do. I step in with my left foot, and pain threatens to cut my legs out from under me, but I grit my teeth and endure. And so with the full rotation of my hips behind it, I drive my fist into Suzukawa's chest. The sensation of punching a Musha transcends mere hardness. It feels like punching a boulder to make that Mount Fuji. And I'm not holding back at all, so the damage to my fist is exactly what you'd expect. It looks like a broken jungle gym. Damn, my man seriously punched as hard as he could. And like fucked up his whole hand. Just to prove a point. What an absolute unit. Like, that's some... Oh, man. It hurts. No shit. I thought my nerves already short out from the pain, but I'm sorry to say, they're still functioning as intended. They do their job in spectacular fashion. This man's a fucking giga chat. He just punched Emusha and it's like full force punching like a block of steel and just destroying your hand, and you're like, go fuck yourself. I'm here to make a point. And the best part is I'm positive he does not think he's going to do any damage. This is just him saying fuck you. Because I don't think he's dumb enough to think he's gonna like punch through his armor. That is a Chad move. Alright. They inform me my right fist is totally fucked up. Yup. My brain feels like it's been dipped in lava, and I'm sure some important synapse or other is dead. And what do I get for my trouble? The Musha wobbles a little. It's not enough. I regain my balance, then step in with my left foot one more time. Using my hips and legs to the fullest, I throw my whole weight into a high kick. Using my right foot, you know, the one with the big fucking hole in it. By some miracle, my sloppy, unpracticed kick catches the Musha right under the jaw, snapping his head back. What's more, my kick lands at the exact moment he was staggered slightly by my punch. And right before my eyes, the unthinkable happens. The Musha falls. My kick downs a Musha. I strike a victory pose, left hand bracing my cocked right arm. At my feet, a fallen Musha. Yo, I'm looking down on a Musha right now. I was not expecting that to happen. And let me tell you, he looks like a loser. I guess Suzukawa's brain finally caught up with reality. Like, he fucked up his hand and probably his foot even harder to moderately inconvenience him, and he's just like, get fucked, buddy. What the fuck do you think? Is this guy stupid? Doesn't he get it? Can't he see what his own actions have accomplished? Despair! Fuck that, man. What? That's not what I'm feeling right now. Listen up, right now. Thanks for the lesson, now it's my turn. I'll teach you exactly what you got wrong. I'm pissed off, you stupid fuck. What the hell else am I supposed to be? No, really, what else would I be? You hurt my friends and you made them suffer? What else am I supposed to feel but anger? My body's incandescent with rage. I feel nothing else. Nothing. I know sadness will come later. Much sorrow. Such sorrow as to make all this pale in comparison, but not now. Now, there's only anger. Anger? Have you lost your mind? Suzukawa sits up, and in his voice, I hear the thing he calls despair. Anger is useless, useless! Rage and rail all you like, it won't stop evil ripping beauty from your ground. It won't save anything. Can you defeat me? A Musha with your anger? Can you defeat Rokuhara? What use is anger against their armies of dragoons? None! The only choice is despair. No! I cry, rejecting him utterly. If this is shonen to protagonist ascension, obviously. He didn't just kill us for telling him to go fuck himself, so this is obviously, we're going full shonen protagonist for the next 2 minutes. He's beckoning me to the abyss, to a place where it's acceptable to resign oneself to the fall. I don't need that. I choose to climb. No. So what if we've got no chance? Who cares how strong they are? The words are meant for myself as much as they are for Suzukawa. Just a few moments ago, I resigned myself to despair, and I believed there was nothing I could do to stop the Musha from hurting my friends. But no more. No more. Having things stolen from you isn't natural. It's evil. Don't accept it. Reject it with everything you have. And that's why I choose anger. I choose to fight. When it's time to fight, you fight. You can worry about winning later. There's no logic in my cry. It's not a universal law. It's not an irrefutable truth. But it is my faith, my ironclad resolve to never again allow evil to hurt the people I love. Before, I thought I had nothing. No battle to fight, no dream to chase. But now I know why. I'd given up. I told myself that resistance was pointless. I had a dream. It was there all along, sleeping in the darkness where I'd sealed it. And now it awakens. I'll fight Rokuhara. I'll fight them to the end. I don't know how I'll do it, but I will. I've made up my mind and I'll see it through, and here's why.
世の中を変えたかった。マシにしたかった。ずっと俺はそう願っていたんだ。
I've always hated Rokuhara. I've never forgiven them for what they've done. I want to change the world, make it better. That's all I always wanted. That's my dream. I'd forgotten about it for so long, but I'll never let it go again. I have to fight, and that's the only way I protect the things I love. I don't know what trials I'll face or how long the road's ahead of me. I don't even know if it has an end. But I'll walk it step by step, never turning back. Never stopping.
お前は何も理解していないのだ。
Don't understand, Suzukawa protests, still sitting on the floor beneath my glare.
失うということを確かにあった。愛していた美しいものが
You don't know what
手の
loss
中から
is.
消えてゆくという現実を
You don't know what
理解
it's
して
like.
いないのだ。
Have something beautiful, something you love, slip through your fingers.
すぐにわか
But
る。
you will.
今は頭が理解を拒んでいるだけだ。だがほどなく知ることになる。クルスのいない。
Your mind is struggling to deny reality, but soon it will have no choice. You'll have
お
to
前
face
が
what,
何を失ったのか
you'll have to face what Kurosuno and Inagi have lost, what you've lost.
知れば絶望するのだ。お前も。
And then you too will know
ひ
despair.
どいぜ先生。俺は絶望なんかしない。
If it arrests Teach, I'll never despair. My voice carries absolute certainty. Why?
俺
Because
は何もなくしてなんかないからな。
we haven't lost anything.
No.
What? Suzukawa's voice cracks for the first time. I must have given him quite the shock. I look at Konatsu and Tadayasu, forcing myself to face their gruesome
あん
reality.
たは俺の大事なものを傷つけた。そいつは確かだ。だから怒ってる。
You hurt my friends,
見る
I know
必要も
that.
ない。
And that's why I'm pissed.
けど何も失ってない。
But we haven't lost anything.
何をなくしたって言うんだ。小夏の体か。ああ、そうだな。これからとても想像もできないほどこいつは苦労しなければならないだろう。
What have we lost? Konatsu's arms and legs? Oh, all four. There we go. Thank you for clearing that up. Yeah, maybe. I can't imagine what she'll go through after this. The clock is ticking. He's for her to die, but all right. She's getting the Anakin experience. If she gets set on fire, she'll have the full Darth Vader treatment.
でも俺が助ける。
But I'll be there to help her.
俺が代わりの体になってやる。
I'll become her arms and legs. Also, the music is much more appropriate for this tune. The relaxing music when this guy was like going on his power trip was really weird, but this is obviously some heroic music playing in the background. So they've at least got the right tune for this scene. I should point out that the music isn't always bad. It was just bad. It was just awkward in that one scene, like the earlier half of the scene. You'll be there to help her and become her arms and legs.
他にはなんだ。忠康の将来か。そりゃな、失明ってのは普通に考えたら絶望的なハンディキャップだろうよ。
Tadayasu's future? Sure, most people would consider blindness a hopeless handicap.
こいつは諦めない。
But he won't give up.
のことで絶
He
望
won't
しない。
despair. He might even become a racer anyway. That's the kind of guy
こ
he
いつ
is.
はそういうやつなんだよ。あとはなんだ。あんたはさっきなんて言ってた。絆か。俺たちの絆か。
What was it you said? Our bond? You destroyed our bond?
それこそそんなもんてめえごときに壊されるかよ。俺たちはずっと仲間だった。昔から。
The hell you did. You don't have that power. We've always been friends. We've always been together.
てめえが今日ちょっと何かしたからってその事実が消えたりする
It
か。
doesn't change because you decided to play some stupid game. It doesn't disappear. We won't forget
俺
what
た
we
ち
are
が
to
ど
each
ういう
other.
仲間だったか絶対に忘れない。
Solid delivery.
だか
All
ら
right.
俺たちは何もなくしてない。
We haven't lost anything.
バカな。
Suzukawa groans, still sitting on the floor like a chump. He's not strong. He's got nothing. Why didn't I do this sooner? Why did I go along with this bullshit? This guy's nothing but...
美しいものは弱いって言ってたな。脆弱だって言ってたな。
You call it...
鈴川。
You said beauty is weak. You called it fragile and fleeting.
黙れ。教えてやる。弱いのはお前の言う美しいものじゃない。
Suzukawa, it's not beauty that's weak.
黙れ。弱いのはお前だ、鈴川。 綺麗なものが目の前から消えたってだけで思い出も何もかも忘れて何もかもなかったことにしちまった。お前が弱いんだ。
It's you. True. Just because things stop being beautiful, you forget all the beauty that was. You throw it away. That's your weakness. Oh man. This guy's literally wearing a suit of power armor and killed this guy in 5 seconds, and he's tilting him super hard. The Musha stands, glowing with rage. The pressure is beyond immense, the iron stench of unrestrained violence emanating from his armor. I might as well be standing at the gates to hell. You haven't lost anything? I'm the weak one? Foolish child, you know nothing. You're the one who doesn't get it. Listen up. I'll say it's even a dumbass like you can understand. Don't drag us into your despair. We're not as weak as you. My rebuke explodes against him, finally tipping the scales, and for an instant cracks seem to run through his armor. The Musha staggers, nearly falling once more, and I can feel his shock, the anger rising within him. It surges forth. With a dull whoosh, he swings his sword high above his head. One strike will cut me in half. Considering he couldn't even see the previous swings, this is the most exaggerated swing we've ever seen from this guy. This is like the equivalent of one of your average boss attack in Elden Ring. It's like the boss who literally 2 seconds ago was able to make 4 cuts, was able to make 4 precise cuts and move without getting blood on his sword, and anyone even noticing what happened for like a full minute. Now he's taking a big ass golf swing at this guy. So big he can actually see it. The 4-minute wind up to the point where if this was Elden Ring, our character would be like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna die," and roll like 3 times before before Suzukawa actually swings. Which honestly would be pretty funny. I always like that Dark Souls meme where you have like some guy just rolling on the floor like 3 times the minute someone raises their sword. There's no reason for him to hesitate. I glare at the sword, narrowing my eyes against the shine of its razor-sharp blade. First, I have to dodge that sword. That alone will require truly insane levels of luck. Then I have to find a way to escape with Kanatsu and Tadayasu. Yeah, I'm out of my fucking mind, but I won't give up no matter what. It's time to fight, therefore I shall. It doesn't matter how strong the enemy is, I'll even fight a Musha. Using every plan, every trick, every means at my disposal, I'll fight. Bring it, loser. And we saw multiple thingies, which means spider bots here. There's a sharp metallic sound, and Suzukawa leaps back in alarm. What just happened? The Musha's sword came slashing down, then something came out of nowhere and knocked it aside. A bundle of threads, long and thin like silk, yet shining like pure silver. The spider from the other night? Suzukawa turns to look at the only door, and I do the same. I see nothing there but darkness, however, I hear footsteps. Good grace is the mark of a true warrior. Admit defeat, Suzukawa Ryobu. You are no match for his strength. This guy's just like, dude, you just got put in your place by like an unarmed 14-year-old. You need to shut the fuck up and sit down. You're too tilted to fight a real person. And then a low, calm voice, I've heard it before. Crunch, crunch. The floorboards creak like fresh snow beneath the newcomer's feet. He's tall, with an aura of misfortune that makes him seem cloaked in darkness. Slowly, the man emerges from the shadows, his voice growing more distinct by the second. They're the features of the man who, for a short time, helped us search for our missing friend. Minato Kageaki. The last man I expected is standing before me, his arrival so sudden, yet so natural, I wonder if he wasn't there all along.
この近辺で発生した失踪事件のうち数件、学生の行方不明は貴様のものか。教職公務員、鈴川亮部。
It would seem you are responsible for a number of Kamakura's unexplained disappearances, specifically those involving children. Is this correct?
何者だ?
Who are you? Suzukawa reseats his weapon and demands the intruder's name. There's no man on Earth who would fail to recognize the nature of his armor. But Minato Kagayaki doesn't even blink. Instead, he ignores the Musha and sweeps his gaze across the classroom. It alights on the teacher's desk.
その4つの箱。
Those 4 boxes. His eyes shift to the body on the floor.
一つに一人、仏が眠るならば。
If in each box rests one poor
貴様
soul,
が殺めたのは4人ということだ。
that makes 4 murders you've committed.
誰かと聞いている。
And who are you? Suzukawa roars and brings his sword crashing down. The man in black is well out of range, but the supersonic blade churns the air into a blender. The rending wind grazes the man, drawing a crimson line across his cheek. And a thin trickle of blood rolls down his jaw, but his expression does not change one iota.
内務省警察局、鎌倉市警察署属員。
Minato
港
Kagayaki,
影明。
attached to the Kamakura Police Department.
ではお前がパート警官とやらか。
You're the part-time cop they were talking about? I hear Suzukawa gnashing his teeth.
私を捕らえに来たのか。
Have you come to arrest me?
六原には手を出さず、時によっては片棒まで担ぎながら、この私は捕らえ、罪に問うというのか。警察!
You won't lay a finger on Rokuhara? You even help them work their evil, but you'll arrest me. Bring me to justice. You should be ashamed.
捕まるものか。お前は殺す。ためらう理由もない。その醜さは私が憎悪してやまぬものだ。
I won't be caught. I'll kill you too. You're part of the ugliness I hate.
そうか。了解した。
Your position is understood. However, even facing a Musha's unbridled fury, Minato Kagayaki remains perfectly calm.
味ならば知っている。六原に神戸を垂れ、ただ木を待つばかりの不甲斐なさ。
Game is
心ある
something
警
I
官
know
ならば
well.
誰もが心の底より恥じている。
There is no true officer of the law who is not ashamed of bowing to Rokuhara, waiting in disgrace for the chance to come.
しかしそれが貴様を見逃す理由になるはずもない。たとえ汚物に満ちた町であっても、クズを一つ一つ拾う行為が意味を失うことはない。
That is no
恥を
reason to overlook
貴
your
様こ
deeds.
そが知れ。
Even in a city ridden with filth, it is still worth picking up a single piece of garbage. It is you who must learn shame. Suzukawa's voice catches in his throat, perhaps trapped by the anger filling his body. His metal eyes blaze with malice, 2 coals in the dark. I can only watch in stunned silence. Why? Why? Why are you here? I mean, yeah, I know you're investigating the kidnappings. I'm not that surprised you found this place. The hell are you doing here now? That's a Musha, man. Can't you tell? I'm starting to doubt your intelligence here. There's nothing you can do against a monster like him. You couldn't even stand up to the Nogiyama punks. You got on your knees and kissed the dirt like a coward. What kind of nutcase won't fight gangsters, but will fight a Musha? You gotta be running for your life right now. Why? Why am I staring at your back again? Are you standing there like you're gonna protect me? What gives you this courage? Oh, that's right. Now that I remember. Those words that changed my life, the first place I heard them was...
抗う強さも耐え忍ぶ強さもなく、ただ八つ当たりのように強行を働いた鈴川亮部。その罪状はすでに明白。だが、貴様の初段に警察の名は借りない。
Possessing neither the courage to resist nor the fortitude to endure, you force your own suffering upon the innocent. Suzukawa Ryobu, your guilt is beyond doubt. However, I have not come to bring you to justice. What? Minato Kagayaki raises his left arm, 5 fingers extended to point at the ceiling. I follow them with my eyes, and there... And where did that thing come from, Spiderbot? A spider is there, a giant crimson spider. Hanging upside down from the rafters, it regards us with compound glowing eyes. The dull sheen of its skin is not that of soft flesh, it is steel, a steel spider. His gaze still fixed on the Musha before him, Minato Kageaki calls the creature's name.
Muramasa.
Muramasa. Are we getting a title drop? The spider bursts apart, its pieces scatter, surrounding the man in black like a crimson cage. No way. I know what this means. I know what's happening. I know, but I can't believe it. Through the whirlwind of steel, I see Minato Kageaki lift his hand once more, the rite of armoring. No way! It's not possible. Musha equals Rokuhara, the tyrannical force that rules their lives. Every Musha in Yamato is under their command. Maybe there's an exception or two, but those exceptions are demons themselves, merely cut from a different cloth. Musha are evil beasts who prey on the weak, the mighty who use their might to feed their own desires. They know no other way. It's the truth, the law of this world, which is why what I'm seeing cannot be. A Musha who fights for justice? A Musha who protects the weak? There's no such thing. There's no such thing, so why? Why are you here? Ooh, a cutscene! Sweet! The demons I slay them where they're saints? Minus somebody has a sword. He got a magical girl transformation sequence. What a guy!
弱さに溺れた惨めな外道。東方村正。ただ一心の都合によって
He seems
貴
familiar.
様を討伐する。
Suzukawa Ryobu, pitiful creature lost in weakness. For reasons that are purely my own, I will take your life. Well, there we go. He looks very familiar, almost like he was in the opening scene. As the red one versus the silver. So it turns out he is in fact hunting the silver because he's the red one. Isn't that clever? I mean, I kind of expected we'd see something like that, but hey. Nice stuff. Also, I'd just like to point out, he added, I don't know if that's a cloth on his back or what, but there's now the, you'll notice the teal and white zigzag between his legs. The colors of the Shinsengumi. He's got their iconography, despite the fact that his color palette is red and black. he synchro summoned Sword Soul Supreme Sovereign Shenying. Close enough. Close enough. And since the Shinsengumi were enforcing their own law, that kind of makes sense too. As their unofficial policeman, and if he's unofficial, he's doing the same thing. The man is closer to the Shinsengumi than everyone else that wants to be. You can banish him? Oh boy. I take to the air. He looks like a... Oh, you did say earlier he looked like a scrawny Hichikata. And I was like, yeah, okay. I kind of just like once over that. Now you're getting you're like, wait, it's a scrawny Hichikata and the man's wearing Shinsengumi colors. Very interesting. Got the vice commander of the Shinsengumi here. Take to the air. My Katari howls at full power, generating the maximum thrust in the least amount of time. The acceleration would tear apart most man-made objects, but Shinkai's armor handles it with ease. We punch effortlessly through the wall of wind, streaking across the amber sky like a bronze arrow. I glance at the gauges that appeared in my sight. My speed is nearing 600, my altitude is below 900. It's dangerous to fly this low to the ground. Is that knots? While maintaining acceleration, I work to stabilize my flight. It bothers me that my speed isn't rising as fast as I'd like. The one time before that I tried flying, I was able to go much faster than this. At least, it felt faster. What's wrong? Is there something different today? I should have practiced flying while I had the chance, but I didn't see the need. How could I have expected this? I never intended for it. Well, if you're a rogue tsurugi, shouldn't you expect to be chased at some point? We need to pay him in pickles and mayo? Yeah. I never intended for an encounter with another Musha. You opposed Rokuhara, who have a monopoly on Musha, and you didn't think you might get chased by them ever? This guy really has lost his fucking mind. Swallowing my panic, I struggle to raise my speed. How much further before I shake him? If I keep going in this direction, I'll end up crossing the Kanto defense line. That would be suicide. Rokuhara's radar pays almost no attention to what goes on inside the Kanto air defense zone, but anything that approaches the border is detected and intercepted. For a Musha without Rokuhara clearance codes, detection means death. Yeah, you get swarmed by enemy Musha, yeah? They're like never expecting to get chased by the military while opposing them, and them basically having like orders to attack him on sight if he ever flies around. I have to shake him before, like if he's ever caught, they have orders to catch him immediately because it's illegal to own this. But he never thought he'd have to run. I have to shake him before it's too. Enemy closing. 7 o'clock high. Range 350.
Nani?
Closing. The force of chase brings disgrace to a Musha. Turn and fight like a warrior. The moment my voice echoes inside my helmet, a terrible chill runs up my spine. It's the same feeling you get when someone touches a blade to your flesh. The chill comes from within, setting every hair on my body on end. He's turning. Oh, that was a turn. Roll turn. Run, run, run. Something smashes into my side, the shock reaching all the way to my organs. It feels like my guts have been tossed into a mixer. My mouth fills with bile. Forcing down the urge to vomit, I shout at my tsurugi. Shinkai, did it get us? Minor damage to lumbar armor. Flight and combat functions unaffected. So it didn't penetrate. I'll reach back to check the armor and am relieved to find it whole. But then something turns my blood to ice. Some insidious word that Shinkai just spoke. Combat? Enemy speed that surpasses ours. Escape is unlikely. Go faster. Is this all you've got? Negative. However, rapid acceleration will be difficult at the current altitude. Altitude? Of course, air resistance is stronger at low altitudes. Can you do something? This man is being carried by his AI. This guy's being carried by his AI's tutorial bot. It's like, the standard method of escaping pursuit is to force the enemy to decelerate through a series of turns. However, this also requires the pursued to have built sufficient speed. It is inapplicable to the current situation. Damn it. Counterattack is the recommended course of action. This is Armored Core at home, of course. There's no point arguing with the Tsurugi's emotionless voice. I can only grind my teeth in frustration. Counterattack? You're telling me to fight a Musha? A Musha! Could just be Gundam at home, though. Is this not just Gundam at home? I've grown accustomed to killing people with this power, but that's nothing like fighting another Musha, a warrior with strength equal to mine. See? A bully. Escape is not an option. Suzukawa Ryobu. I demand you conduct yourself in a manner befitting a Musha. Draw your weapon. I renew my challenge to you. Kinchojo, Metal Echo, transmission. Reaches out to me across the sky. Kinchojo, Metal Echo transmission. Interesting. The cold certainty in it makes one dreadful fact apparent. This enemy will never let me go. He'll pursue me, corner me, and strike me down. I'll die. I'll die, and the beautiful will be denied salvation. Yes, of course. If I die, they're doomed. My children, my beautiful children, what will happen to them all? Oh, the evil that fills this world will consume their goodness and light. It's inevitable, a law of nature, but I rejected it all the same. I swore to save them, to preserve their beauty. I have a sacred duty to grant them oblivion before they're ruined forever. I can't let it end here.
Shinkai. 奴は何と名乗っていた?
Shinkai, what did he name himself?
Muramasa. 聖州戦後火事、上門の城Muramasa。希代の名工にして陽光。南北朝期に勃興し、天下第一の名を売るも、大乱を招いたがため、わずか3代を数えたのみで滅ぼされたという。
Well, there's that info dump. Muramasa, Sengo Daemon no Jo, Muramasa of Seishu, one of a line of mighty armors infamous for their cursed power. They rose to primacy during the Nanbokucho War, only to be purged after a mere 3 generations for precipitating utter catastrophe.
相手にとって不足なし。
A worthy opponent. This last statement seems to carry a hint of emotion, inappropriate for a tsurugi. I ignore it. I recall my history. In the 14th century, Yamato was split between the northern and southern courts, each with its own emperor. This period, called the Two Courts, or Nanbokucho period, was marked by a decades-long war whose body count defies belief.
陽光村正。南北朝の騒乱を地獄に変えた元凶か。ただ流血を好み、無限の呪詛をもって争いのための争いを引き起こしたという。そんなものが私を阻むのか。
The very tsurugi that turned the Nanbokucho War into hell on earth. They sought only greater bloodshed and used their power to spread chaos to sate their thirst. And now one of them has come to end my dream?
当時の獲物といえば、長大なる野立ちが主流であったはず。見るに鉄器の獲物は波の太刀。殺傷の可能性もあり。
The favored weapon of that period was the long nodachi. However, the enemy is armed with only a sword of average size. It may well be an imposter.
どちらでもいい。死なんぞ。私は死なん。
It doesn't matter. I won't die. I won't.
私にはすべきことがあるのだ。
There's still work to be done. Shinkai.
承知。戦闘を開始する。鉄器1、牛虎の神。
Understood. Engaging combat protocols. Enemy unit 2 o'clock high. I roll my body and come about. The enemy leaps into view, having resituated himself high above after his first pass, and I set my sights on him and accelerate. Oh, you're going upwards? I don't like that. Muramasa lowers his head and dives to meet me. Two Musha charge head-to-head. Ultimate power versus ultimate power. Duels like this have been waged in the skies since the dawn of human history. And now once more in the skies of Kamakura. If someone told me yesterday I'd be one of those Musha, I'd have laughed in his face. But if I have no other choice, so be it. I focus my gaze on the dot that is my distant enemy, pouring into it all of my hate and rage. My mind is unclouded by doubt. I have every right to strike down those who bar my path. There's nothing to fear. The enemy and I are equals, but I have a dream to live for. I can't lose. He's getting close. He's getting closer. Range 500, course dead on.
邪魔する者は切る。村正だと。おぞましき魔物が死すべきは貴様の方だ。
I'll kill anyone who stands in my way. Muramasa, is it? Well, foul demon, it is you who must die. The distance closes. I lifted my sword above my shoulder, ready to bring it crashing into my enemy with all the power of my rising charge behind it. He's going for a slash. He's flying towards someone at like 100 kilometers an hour or more, and he wants to do a slash. Alright, I mean, you have super fast, super speed and reflexes. But if he just sticks his sword out and kills you, that's gonna be pretty awkward, my dude. I pour on more and more speed until with maximum foresight. I'm slowing down. You're going up. Of course you're slowing down.
改めて勝負。 と言ったはずだな。高度確保もせずに突撃とは侮るにも程が。
Yeah, I would worry about that. Losing velocity and momentum, and possibly stalling out. I don't know if that's possible though. While I appreciate your answering my challenge, I hardly expected you to attack without first gaining altitude. You must think very little of my abilities, or are you merely a fool? Because now he's gonna come down at you with vastly superior speed. The Crimson Musha suddenly dominates my vision. It's too fast. The shock of impact numbs my entire body, like plunging into a tank of molten ice. The scalding heat and freezing cold speak to the severity of my damage more eloquently than mere pain ever could. Heavy damage to right shoulder armor. Slight damage to internal skeletal structure. Speed decreasing. Warning. Stall imminent. Hey, who just called stalling out? What? Stall? I hastily searched my brain for the meaning. Stall. The loss of lift due to decrease in speed. The stall is to spin out of control and succumb to the pull of gravity. I'm gonna fall? I mean, you were flying like straight up at someone. You need a lot of speed if you want to make that. Dive to recover speed. Bad idea. He'll get behind you if you're gonna turn like that. Actually, where is your opponent? He's completely lost track of his opponent and he's only concerned about falling. I roll 180 degrees and lift my head towards the earth below. Suddenly gravity's on my side. The speedometer rises rapidly as the ground approaches. If this guy flies right into the ground, that'd be pretty funny. It's getting awfully close, but I need more speed before I can start. Enemy closing, 11 o'clock high. He probably backed off after a blow and regained his altitude. If stalling out's a real problem, then you're absolutely going to want to not lose speed, right? You'll just be fighting like you're in a plane. So you take a swing, and then you come around for another blow. If you're doing dives at each other, you can take a swing, turn around, and come in for another blow. Ideally not consistently from below them. I quickly pull up, knowing that I mustn't show him my back to have any hope of evading. I first need to see where he... Range 200. I appreciate their updated their continuously updated visuals, even if we have like... Even if they're not like S+ tier 3D models, I appreciate that they have everything being consistently shown here. You can see what's happening while you're reading. Obviously, the dials may not be telling you any useful information. Well, I guess it's telling us he's like east-northeast now. I assume the bottom row is a compass because it has the symbol for east on it. That's what I'm going to go with. So it's presumably like east, and then I'm not sure which of the vertical dials is telling him his angle of approach, possibly his height. We might have an altimeter here. And then presumably there's more information elsewhere on the HUD that's using weird symbols I don't understand. Or recognize, I should say. I don't understand them either. He's too close, too fast. There's nothing I can do. The enemy's stance is the same as before, his blade resting on his right shoulder. I gauge the weapon's length if I can just get out of its range. Isn't he faster than me? I pull up harder, putting Muramasa's indicator in the bottom half of my display. There, that should give me enough distance to avoid his... What do you expect to accomplish against the high hold by evading to the top? Once again, his blade slams into my shoulder. My attempt at evasion seems to have had some meaning. However, his strike only drives the previous wound a little wider. That's hardly a reason to celebrate. I'm still losing this fight. Can you freeze his blood with your shinogi?
いいな。鉄器の肉体は剣に守護されている。これを超えてしのぎを決めることは不可能である。
Negative. The pilot is protected by his tsurugi. No shinogi can circumvent this defense. What's a shinogi?
では他に何か手はないのか。何か。
What else is there? There's gotta be something.
見苦しい。
Pathetic. The man's stony voice cuts in with perfect timing, as though he could hear the words exchanged between me and Shinkai. The source of the transmission is far ahead, having once again claimed the high ground with superior speed and mobility. And we don't know what this guy's actually... This guy's in a bad spot. Doesn't look like he's actually too damaged, but we can... I don't know. It's right shoulder, right? We can't even see the right shoulder. I can't see the right shoulder and arm. He might have got hit in the arm. Looking good. Looks like Muramasa's got the high ground. Again. It's over. He did say it was over. He hasn't said it's over yet, but he does have the high ground consistently. Obi-Wan would approve.
太刀打ちの作法をまるで知らぬ。武者としてあるまじき不心得。貴様、二輪がかりはこれが初めてか。
It's as though you haven't learned the most basic doctrines of combat.
生身の人々だけなのか。
I've never heard of a Musha so inept. Could this truly be your first Futawa Gakari? Has your blade slain only the unarmored?
牙なき者をいたぶるだけが貴様の剣か。
Your sword is merely a tool for preying on the weak, is it? You're one to talk? Hmm? I trained my Kinjojo on the enemy. Enraged he would have such gall.
知らぬ者とていない陽光を平然と狩る輩が何を言う。その少年、呪われていようと力があればよしとする醜い心が透けて見えるわ。違うか、村正。
You wield a demon's armor, slayer of thousands. I know your kind. A fiend who'd do anything for power. Even sell your soul to the devil. Tell me I'm wrong, Muramasa. But seriously, though, what was he asking about earlier? He was, what is a shinogi? They just introduced a term without ever They reference a term without ever introducing it, which is a little bit annoying. Considering how much dialogue we've gotten, we would have thought... I mean, this one, the Futawa Gakari, we can, like, maybe guess that this is, like, a battle due to how it's used. We don't know what shinogi is. We don't know what shinogi is, and it seems to be implying that it can do something that we haven't seen it do. Bit annoying, but anyway. Alright.
そういうそちらは井上新海か。
And yours, I see to be Inoue
泉
Shinkai.
の神国定。大坂正宗と歌われた半世時代初期の名作。
Formerly
朝廷
Kunisada,
に
Lord of
献上を
Izumi.
許され、
A
一度
superior
はその
work
蔵に置かれ
in
た
the
頃
early feudal period. Hailed as the Masamune of Osaka, and even granted the honor of residing for a time within the Imperial Armory.
かような剣をまといながらその集体。どうにも下せぬ。
It's incomprehensible the
貴様は
master
名
of
だ
such
た
a
る武門
tsurugi
の出ではな
to
い
be
のか。
so incompetent. Are you not the descendant of a great warrior house?
調査した限り、貴様は一介の教師。しかしあるいは、隠れた血筋のものなのかと疑ったが、先ほどよりの無作法を見る、そうも思え。
My investigation revealed only your past as a teacher, and even so I thought you might be the hidden scion of an ancient bloodline, although that seems unlikely indeed
どう
now.
いうことだ。
Explain yourself.
貴様はなぜ剣を持つ。六原に媚びを打って恵んでもらったのか。
Shinogi is the line on a katana? The center line of his katana can paralyze people. Interesting. Okay. Explain yourself. Why do you possess a tsurugi? Did you receive it as a servant of Rokuhara? The man's question is sincere, with no audible scorn in his tone. But the words are more than enough. I grasp I gasped, feeling the blood drain from my face. Me, a servant of Rokuhara? What did you call me? The enemy is before me, a split second for making his third attack. I focus on the armor covering my flesh. My consciousness sharpens to a razor's edge. Delving deep into the bond between us, we transcend mere connection, melding until I can't tell where I begin and Shinkai ends. My mind, body, and soul are indivisible from the armor. Flesh and steel is one. By this union that defies all natural laws, I'm able to sense the power within my tsurugi and control it. And my command is unleashed.
Kurui kuru.
Kurui kuru. Alright. That's the line we got. The target, my own blood. Here we go. Blood sprays from my shoulder wound like a geyser, catching Muramasa full in the face. His balance disrupted, Muramasa's strike veers off course, and I slide through the opening as though threading a needle. For the first time, I've completed an exchange without suffering damage. Drink your fill, monster. I crow in triumph. Finally, some payback. He sprayed his own blood at his opponent. Well, that's certainly a strategy. That said, my situation is no better now than it was a moment ago. The speedometer is telling me that stall is imminent, so once again I have no choice but to dive. I can't defeat him like this. Power over blood. That must be Shinkai's Shinogi. I detect a hint of surprise in Muramasa's impassive voice. Shinogi. Supernatural powers that only the most exceptional Shinichi Tsurugi can wield. Muramasa is correct. My attack just now is a manifestation of Shinkai's Shinogi. He wanted to see if the amputation was available in the uncensored version, but apparently he found something more effed up. Interesting. He forced Tadayasu to rape her via his blood control ability that we didn't see, and then blinded. Yeah, that would be interesting to know if their relationship is at all damaged from that. Or awkward, or if there's any awkwardness, lingering awkwardness. It's gonna be really weird. Interesting that they cut that. Okay. Interesting to cut that for the censored version. I assumed that it was just cut. I did not assume it would cut scenes like that, but okay. I can patch them back in. It was like, alright. It was like apparently a super detailed. Interesting. Super detailed and edgy. Makes me. We'll see how that scene, the fallout of the scene plays out. If it seems like things are really awkward between the two characters, if both characters survive and it seems like things are really awkward between them, then I might have to install the uncensored patch. Because I really don't like it when characters do random shit because of censored scenes. That would be really annoying. We'll see. You can understand why someone would cut that out. Depends on how they implement the follow-up. If, like, it turns out one or both of them is fucking dead after this, then I don't think it matters that much. Like, if one of them's dead after this and it's never brought up again, that's fine. If it's, like, suddenly super awkward between them, then I'd care a little bit more. I only care about how it is for the future. And I'm, like, moderately annoyed that they, like, edited the scene to remove that, but it doesn't seem to, like, change anyone's character. If it doesn't change anyone's character, then or, like, personalization, then it's probably fine. Alright, Muramasa is correct. My attack now was a manifestation of Shinkai's Shinogi. If it possesses a Shinogi, it cannot be a copy or forgery. You wield the true Inoue Shinkai. How'd it come into the hands of a schoolteacher? probably hidden away. It was probably hidden away from the Rokuhara, or stolen from them. And this guy either found it or was the person who stole it. I'm not obliged to answer, but I do so anyway. Right now I need time, and I'll buy as much as he's willing to offer. Besides, what's the point in concealing it from someone I mean to kill? Such arrogance. Do you laugh if I say it was a present from Santa Claus? Christmas came rather early this year. I found it in the old schoolhouse the day after I saved my second student. Someone had left it there. As though telling me to use it. Silence answers, suggesting he's unsure whether to believe me. I don't care. I keep the channel open. Perhaps it was someone who appreciates my work. Or not. It hardly matters. Whatever their intent, this tsurugi was a blessing. See, now I can be faster, cleaner, gentler. I can kill those I love far better than before. I pull up and come about. The crimson Musha swings into view, though at this distance he's only a black dot. Is he gonna slowly ascend in a circular pattern? We're currently facing what? Is he going to ascend, or is he gonna fly in a straight line to him? I wonder if he's learned yet. He's further away than I expected. He must have circled wide to allow time for our conversation. Or to gain altitude. It's exactly what I wanted, but still his calm is infuriating. I tighten my grip on my sword. My speed has recovered. I can take him. He's circling wide because he's gaining altitude without losing speed. That makes perfect sense. That's like literally how airplanes work. Come on! I see. You came into your tsurugi by coincidence. The enemy drops his pitch and dives. We charge each other at near supersonic velocities, eating up the range so fast it seems like the world itself shrinks around us. In a fraction of a second, we've traveled a distance that even a marathoner would hesitate to walk. The target within the reticle goes from blurry dot to distinct image, and then, the next instant fills my entire screen. Striking range. Now your incompetence makes sense. Severe damage to right forearm. Further damage likely to result in total loss of function. Why do I keep losing? The last exchange, our swords crossed. They met. Only for Shinkai's sword to be struck aside. Muramasa then shot past me and his strike took me full in the arm. The downward slash I unleashed while flying above Muramasa barely clipped his wing. I doubt it did any damage at all. Why does he always have the upper hand? What fearsome durability. I see why they called Shinkai the Masamune of Osaka. It's unfortunate it was not blessed with a suitable pilot. Too true. Too true. Considering the last two we saw fighting, it was one shot. It was a one shot. They were both expecting one shots, right? Both of them were 100% on one shot kills. And we're at like 3 for 3. And we're at like 0 for 3 against an incompetent against a moron. And I'm going to make an assumption that this Muramasa pilot is competent. Since he seems surprised this guy's bad. I don't know if he's not a legendary swordsman and those misses lethal. If this guy's armor is like saber thick or what, but it seems like he's pretty hard to kill. Also, the light at the bottom is slowly draining. I'd just like to point that out. It's at like 55% right now. He should have played more Sekiro, less Danganronpa. Yeah, don't know why he's rooting for Junko though. Muramasa!
高度の劣勢も理解できない輩が
The orb in the bottom right is yellow. Truly a waste to be mourned. To think such a tsurugi would fall into the hands of one who cannot even grasp the importance of altitude. Altitude?
引け半端者武者のブルファイトはより高い位置を奪い合うところから始まる高さとはすなわちエネルギーであるからだ
Hear this, fool. A duel between Musha begins with a race for the upper ground. This is because altitude equals potential energy. Do you understand?
敵より好意を占めた側は駆け下って攻撃を加えることができる速度を速度が転化した威力を得られる
The warrior who attacks from above is able to fall into his strike. Gravity gives him speed and therefore power.
優位に立てるのは当然だろう
Obviously, this is a significant advantage.
対し帝位の側は重力に歯向かって速度を減じられながら駆け上がらねばならない著しい不利を背負うことになる
The lower altitude combatant must fight against gravity, losing speed as he climbs, a serious handicap.
この状況は2合目以降も変わらない行為の側は獲得した速力を生かして素早く上昇することができ一方帝位側は速度を回復するために降下しなくてはならないからだ
And this balance persists again. After the first exchange, the Musha who struck from above is able to use his speed to climb and retake the high ground, where the Musha who rose from below must dive to avoid stalling.
故に行為を奪われた者を一語を打ち合った後迅速な旋回を行い敵が体勢を整える前に突撃することで逆転を図る
For those reasons, the warrior who lost the high ground in the first exchange will attempt to come about rapidly and strike before his opponent can recover altitude, or will disengage and attempt to acquire a more advantageous position. And our friend has done neither. In fact, he's done nothing but give his opponent time to get high ground time and again. Especially with his previous run there. Where he's like, oh, my opponent's like going up. What a moron. I'm like, dude, this guy's blowing you.
旋回性を誇る剣なら前者加速に優れるなら後者だ権威で打開を図る猛者もいるそのどれもせず相手の土俵で戦い続けるなど愚の骨頂
Musha, confident in his tsurugi's maneuverability, will choose the former, while those who can outpace their opponent's acceleration will prefer the latter. Some warriors may even be able to overcome the advantage with pure swordsmanship, but only a fool would continue to fight on his enemy's terms. Muramasa's contempt is apparent even through his emotionless tone. I want to retort, but I can't. I know only about as much about physics as any layman, but that knowledge, once I consult it, backs Muramasa's explanation. The energy of an object in motion is determined by mass and velocity. Velocity comes from acceleration, and a falling object gains energy thanks to gravitational acceleration, while a rising object loses energy as it resists the same. In short, I was an idiot for thinking we were on equal footing, even though we held the high ground. Of course, the high ground's OP. Even so, I can't bear to remain silent, and I address Shinkai feeling like a drowning man clinging at straws.
Shinkai, 奴の言葉は正しいか?
Is what he said true?
二輪がかりの基本である
They are the fundamentals of Futaragakari, aerial combat between Musha. What? Why didn't you tell me? But to finish the accusation would be futile, so I bite my tongue and fall silent once more. A tsurugi's mind only exists so that the armor can respond to its pilot's command. Just as I myself told my students a few days ago, it's foolish to expect a mere operating system to be considerate. A tsurugi is a weapon, it's the Musha who must master it. I've read these words in text before, as has everyone. Only now do I understand their true meaning.
鈴川亮貴様は扱いきれない玩具を与えられた子供だその子供に命を奪われた人々には到底及ばない
Yet, this guy's just like endlessly getting told off. Rough time for this guy. He probably deserves it, but still. You're a child who's been given a toy he can't control. Your flailing invites pity, if not as much as is due those who lost their lives at that child's hand. One final lesson.
貴様はどうして武者が突き討ちを行うか知っているか無人の面目もあるがそれだけではない
You know why Musha engage in head-to-head combat?
剣の鋼鉄を切り破るためだ
Warrior's pride is one reason, but not the only. it's also to have a chance of damaging the
逃
enemy.
げてゆく武者を後ろから追って切っても攻撃すら弾く鋼鉄をうがつことは難しい。しかし高速で正面から突進し合えば鋼鉄を破る威力を得られる。
If you strike at a fleeing tsurugi from behind, you're unlikely to pierce its armor, which can withstand even point-blank cannon fire. Only when charging head-on at high speed is it possible to cleave your opponent's armor in a single blow.
この点に考えが至れば相手の情報へ抜けながら切り下ろすことの具もわかるな。
If you consider this fact, it should become immediately obvious that one must never strike down while flying above his enemy. The words instantly strike a chord, although it pains me to acknowledge it. I recall our previous exchange of blows. Though we both readied our swords in the same position, during the strike, I passed to the top while he cut to my bottom. As a result, Shinkai's sword was forced to follow the retreating Muramasa, while Muramasa's sword was able to meet the advancing Shinkai. No wonder there was such a difference in power.
理解したか。
Now you understand.
No.
Let's resume.
参る。
His voice is cold and sharp, like a throwing knife aimed at my heart, and his malice beats heavy against my skin.
敵、虎の神より来襲。
Enemy closing, 2 o'clock high. He's already that close. Cursing, I hastily turn to meet him. The rate at which the enemy grows belies the falling needle of my speedometer. All I can do is glare in helpless rage as we continue to charge. At this rate, the same thing will happen again. Muramasa's sword is poised above his right shoulder, just as before, and my stance the same. I'm at a disadvantage because of my lower altitude, however.
奴の下へ潜り込めば
If I can get below it. At the instant our radar signatures meld into one, Muramasa tries to get beneath me, but I beat him to it. I have him.
吉野恩流合戦霊法が一撃。転ばしにて。
Allow me to demonstrate the application of technique. Yoshino Onryu Kasen Reho Korobashi. Wow, that's a mouthful. He just changed. Yeah, I assume he just changed positions and hit it. Took a swing. Did he just change positions so that he would hit below? The instant I'm certain of victory, Hammer's blow dashes that certainty to pieces. A moment before our blades crossed, he flipped his sword and struck from beneath. Yeah, obviously. Like, you're heavily disadvantaged. All he has to do is change his position. He was resting his sword on his shoulder. Now he holds it beneath him, does the same deal.
飛行しての戦闘では地上と違い足腰を使えない。がそれでも剣の技を工夫する余地はあ
Even
る。
so, there
力
is,
任せに振り下ろすだけが能ではない。
unlike ground battles, which, the air affords no platform from which to employ footwork, even so, there was room for swordsmanship to show its worth. Strength and speed are not the whole of combat. Of course, of course.
相手を故意に下へ抜けさせ、同時に剣形を太刀打ちの基本である右上段から右脇下段へと切り替えて迎え撃つ。
Let the enemy take your bottom, then shift your stance from standard right Jodan to the right Geidan, thereby placing your blade once more in the enemy's path. A simple technique and one of the first learned. I mean, just let your opponent fly into your sword. Seems like a good strategy. I'm surprised that guy thought he was getting anywhere. I mean, this guy is literally... It's a life and death battle and your opponent's lecturing you. I know that he's grasping at straws and trying to use the information, but if you literally do exactly what this guy tells you to, you're not going to beat him. Right? Like, he's not going to give you information that will beat him, he's giving you the bare basics.
左剣部に損傷、可動には支障なし。
Damage to left shoulder, function unaffected. If the angle of the strike is equal, as was in that exchange, then velocity alone decides the outcome. Nah, combined velocity, actually. Right? If you both collide if you both have a collision, then his speed is amplified against him. Velocity is only relevant for giving you control of the area, right? right? Like him diving you, if you don't hit him, he gets something. But if you both stick out your swords and fly into each other's blades, the velocity is the same, right? Like the net velocity is the same. If he's flying down at you at 100 kilometers an hour and you're flying up at him at 10, and you both stick your swords out, you both hit each other at 110 with the equivalent force of it going 110 kilometers an hour. Like, it's not like he magically does 100 kilometers an hour of damage to you and you deal 10 to him. That would make literally no sense. Yeah, the impact is double-sided. You're both hitting as hard as the other person is. That said, there's a pretty decent chance that I'm assuming that this guy missed, or like whiffed really hard, or hit like at the worst angle possible. Like, you know, I assume that this guy's like, oh, I'm doing this thing, and he's like, alright, he's doing that, okay, I'm just gonna angle myself so this basically does 0 damage and move on. You know, it's one of those, it's something like that rather than the math being wrong. Because the exchange should be roughly equal. It's the control you have from going at higher velocities and not worrying about stalling out. And your own superior maneuverability at speed and ability to retreat that give you the advantage, right? If you're above and have distance, you can dictate the terms of the engagement rather than your opponent who's trying to ascend so that he can fight on equal terms with you. Because these are sword blows and not guns. Right? Because if you're firing missiles at someone, it's like the explosion that gets them, and the relative speed of your plane is less relevant. The relative speed of your plane for creating the missile is less relevant, but still relevant. And he still has the advantage here. Over bullets, where I don't think your velocity matters that much. An archer would have been better here. Turn, dive, turn, and charge. This guy's arm looks perfectly functional. Oh well. I won't lose to you. To a worthless cop. I have beauty to save. You mean destroy? Oh well. Alright, he's going in. Die, kuru kuru wa. Same trick will not work on me twice. I'm not so obliging as that. He dodged it. Moderate damage to chest armor. Is there any way to get above him? 深海の旋回性は村正に被験シールと分析されるも、現在は蓄積した損傷のため、性能発揮に支障が生じている。At present, well, analysis suggests that Shinkai's maneuverability is comparable to Muramasa's. Accumulated damage is adversely affecting our flight capabilities. 故に不可能。A different course of action is recommended. Oof. 戻れるか、鈴川亮。Is that pain I hear? Accept it as your due. その苦しみはこれまで貴様が他者に与えてきたものだ。同じ苦しみを味わうことは貴様の責務。It's the same suffering you inflicted on others, and you have a duty to share in it. One trick, an arc, one trick pony doesn't even have rivers of blood. 刃の報いは己に返る。人の命を奪う者は己の命も奪われる。悪に報いは必ずあるのだ。The sins of the blade are revisited upon its master. Whoever takes another man's life will himself be slain. Evil shall be repaid in the end. Evil shall be repaid. It sounds like he's speaking more to himself than to me, but I reject his words all the same. I've heard enough of his lectures. I feel like you need a few more since you don't know the basics of combat. Evil is never repaid, just as good deeds have no reward. In this world of greed and malice, only beauty is not worthy of trust. Beauty never betrays you. If only it lasted forever. But ruin's inevitable. I've resigned myself to this, accepted it as our cursed fate. But I won't let beauty rot. I can't bear the sight of beauty succumbing to ugliness. I won't allow it. I won't. The moment I do, beauty loses its worth. What choice is there? I have to destroy it, to kill the beautiful while their beauty is whole. Is that so evil?
鈴川亮貴様の番だ苦しみもだれ怒り嘆きながら
Suzukawa Ryobu, your turn has come. Writhe in agony. Shed tears of rage and perish beneath the blade. You're wrong. I'm not evil. I'm not. Everything I've done was right. You're the only evil here.
てめえの絶望に他人を巻き込むな俺たちはそんなに弱くねえ
Don't drag us into your despair. We're not as weak as you. Getting wrecked 5 minutes later. Silence. I'm right. I'm the good here. Why should I be the one to die? Power. Give me the power to kill Muramasa. To defeat this demon who threatens my life so unjustly. I don't care what it is or where it comes from. I'll take anything. Anything that helps me save the beautiful.
愉快な真似を
How very amusing.
そのいじましさは笑うほかないな見物料にこれをやろう役に立つぞ
Ah, it's the silver mech.
というよりそれを持っていれば嫌でも役に立つ時が訪れようが
I can only laugh at deeds so petty. Here, take this as recompense for your performance. You might find it useful, or rather, the time will come when it makes itself useful, whether you wish it or not.
俺が何者かだと何者というのは深い問いだな
Oh, what am I?
誰だと尋ねるのとは違う
An interesting question. It is not the same as
名を
asking,
告げるだけでは答えとして足りるまい
my name alone will not suffice.
お前は俺の意味を問うのかならばこう答える
I believe you wish to know my purpose. Very well. See? Silver mech.
俺は天下不武銀の星の名で呼ばれているものだよ
I am she who will conquer the world, and you know me as the Silver Star. Yes, even you will do. Foul, cursed angel of slaughter. If you'll answer my prayers, then so be it. Power. Give me power! Somehow I feel like this isn't going to work. Also, I'd like to point out that the bar at the bottom center of the screen has passed below 50%, meaning this guy is running out of juice fast. Something rises in the pit of my gut, something vast and mighty. It's awakening, stirring from its slumber. The seed that was planted inside me is about to bear fruit. I feel it coming to life, a non-existent child in my non-existent womb. The child is a monster, wailing and flailing. It eats itself free of the womb that nurtured it. I feel pain, intense, gut-wrenching pain, as the imaginary monster's imaginary fangs tear into my flesh, all an illusion. Even the sensation of being consumed from within. All an illusion, save for the pain. It is born from the phantom womb of Suzukawa Ryobu and Inoue Shinkai. None can see the monster, however, nor lay hands on it, for it does not exist. But the raw, unstoppable power is real.
来るは来る来る来るい来るくれはくれくれくれくれは
That's a mouthful. Kuru wa kuru 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 ha kuru 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 ha. Command accepted. I grant the storm of power, direction, and purpose. It seizes control of a tremendous mass and bestows upon that mass hardness, sharpness, and speed, all the ingredients of destruction. All that's left is to unleash it on my enemy.
Yakarantan Sankara!
Yakarantan Shankara. Alright.
Enchant.
Enchant.
教えておいてやろう。血液だけではない。深海のしのぎはあらゆる液体を操るのだ。
Now I'll be the teacher. It's not just blood. Shinkai's Shinogi controls all liquids. The water spout that erupts from the rivers and sea below strike Muramasa with crushing force, knocking him from the sky. It then follows like a dragon, soaring across the heavens and snaps the puny Musha up in its mighty jaws. Interesting. That much water should punch through even the hardest armor. Really? How high up are you? How much force can you really... I mean, yes, you can wear through armor with water. Or maybe even crush it. But this is also armor that just, like, no-sells tank shells. Like, are you sure? Are you sure, buddy? Also, he's at, like, 25% power.
どうだ見たかこの力深海の力私の力だ
Now you see, this is Shinkai's power, my power.
美しき者のために我が正義だ
Justice, bringing salvation to the beautiful. I howl with laughter, unable to suppress the urge. At the same time, I'm awed by what just happened. Such power. Can you please do a follow-through and check this guy's actually dead? I mean, obviously you won't, but, you know. I never thought Shinkai could control so much liquid. The massive spouts dissipated, its water showering the city below, and I imagine the shock on people's faces as they're drenched by the sudden rain. Muramasa is nowhere to be seen. That detestable spider has been ejected from the sky.
墜落したか
Crashed, did he?
相応の末路と言うべきだろ
No
う
less
な
than he deserves.
いいな。方位、日の絵から馬の死も。
Negative.
距離2400。敵
Enemy
へ確
located.
認。
5 o'clock low. Range 2400.
何
Obviously, he's not crushed. It smacked him down. But I wouldn't expect it to kill him. Like, that's some ridiculously durable armor. Eyes bulging in disbelief, I look in the direction Shinkai indicated, and there he is, circling far below.
あれを受けて無事だというのか
敵機は我が白火ランタンの直撃を受ける寸前に防壁を展開。
The enemy erected a barrier moments before
致命打
impact.
を下げた模様。
It seems to have prevented critical injury. I guess that's his ability.
防壁だと
A barrier?
磁力の壁を張り、水流を自家した上で反発。
A
威
wall of
力を
magnetic
減
force.
災したものと思われる。
It's likely the enemy magnetized and repelled the water, thereby dampening its power.
磁力つまり磁力操作が奴のしのぎなのか
Magnetic force. So Muramasa Shinogi controls electromagnetic fields. Aren't you made of metal?
そう推定するのが妥当である。
That is a reasonable assumption. Monster. I'd spit in disgust, but my tsurugi's helmet prevents me. I've learned these are the little inconveniences Amusha encounters from time to time. That attack wasn't enough to defeat him. Is his tsurugi so superior? Damn you, Muramasa, you're in my way. The man in black and his crimson tsurugi determined to end my sacred quest. I won't accept I'm powerless against you. If I'm right, which of course I am, there's no reason I shouldn't be able to defeat you who are wrong. Die, Muramasa.
敵機の状態を確認。胸部鋼鉄を中心に深刻な損傷。
Enemy has suffered severe damage to thoracic armor.
全機能が大幅に低下した状態にあると推測。現時点における性能比は深海の優越である。
This should significantly impair its flight and combat capabilities. Analysis shows Shinkai now has the advantage. This man gonna throw? Are we ready to throw? Is this guy ready to throw? Hard?
損傷
Damage? Of course.
そうか
Is he gonna throw? I doubt he's pretending, right? The injuries? Even he was unable to escape unharmed. Given the power I unleashed, it's only to be expected. If I seize this chance, I could win.
敵機、復元機能の作動を確認。
Enemy has begun repairs. Time to completion. Unknown.
そんな時間は与えん
I won't give it to him. Wait, why have you not done repairs? You stalled for time without asking for repairs? My friend, if your mecha can self-repair and you're buying time, shouldn't you buy time for auto-repair functions? I drop my nose and dive. Perhaps resigned to his fate, Muramasa rises to meet me. Doubtful. I finally have the high ground. Muramasa!
深海。
武者の格闘は高位置を取った者が有利だったな。いただいたご教授、ありがたく活用させてもらう。
Mushu attacks from above has advantage, was it? Allow me to put your teachings to good use. This fight's been surprisingly long. I charge the enemy, raising my sword high and slash down as I pass beneath. Muramasa takes Gedan, the low hold, and swings up to meet me, but it's clear the advantage is mine. Sorry, can we repeat this again? He just fucked up. He attacks from above. He swings downward. He's literally doing what he was just criticized for doing in reverse. Muramasa takes Gedan, the low hold, and swings up to meet me, but it's clear the advantage is mine. You're swinging down. You're swinging down. That's inefficient. Shouldn't you be holding low if he's beneath you? Oh no, you're slashing down as you pass beneath. No, that's fine. Okay. No, these are even trades. This is an even trade. This is not advantageous.
Sha!
That's an even trade, right? That's an even trade. He goes below, takes up high hold. His opponent goes above, does low hold. That should be an even trade, assuming they hit. My strike knocks Muramasa's weapon aside and cleaves into his armor. The impact is solid, numbing my wrist to the bone, but I savor the sensation and the joy it brings. I finally landed a blow.
敵、左剣部鋼鉄に損傷。
Enemy unit damage to left shoulder armor.
どうだ村正、優位からの一点、打
This
ちの
guy
め
should
され
be
る側になった
repositioning and
気
trying to get
分
the high
は
ground. Well, Muramasa, how do you like the taste of victory torn from your grasp?
なかなかおつなものだろう。
Novel, isn't it?
とは、言いかねるな。
Hardly.
そんな
You're
もの
far
は
from the
今
first
更
to
貴
teach
様
it
に
to me.
教えてもらうまでもない。
This guy's like, yeah, I've lost before.
すでに慣れきり、飽ききった。
The taste I know far too well, though
普
the
通とい
pain
う感
remains
覚は、
damnably
今々
fresh.
しいほど常に新鮮だ。
Okay. Despite the humiliation his words suggest, his voice is as composed as ever. An act, of course, it must be. No, this guy's composed all the time. I'm just like staring at the power bar at the screen, bottom of the screen going, is this guy just gonna like run out of juice? His mech shuts off and he dies? From falling damage?
さっきのあれは、なんだ。いかに深海が名物とはいえ、あそこまでの力を持つとは正直。
Still, what was that Shinogi just now? Exceptional though it may be, I find it hard to believe Shinkai could possess such strength.
あれは、異常だ。
Your power is wrong.
銀色の破壊の神が私に力をくださったとでも言っておこうか。
The devil showed me favor. I suppose you could say. The devil cast in silver. I don't expect him to understand or believe me if he does. But Muramasa's response betrays my
貴
expectations.
様が銀星号に卵を植えられていることは最初から知っている。
I'm already aware you carry Ginseigo's egg.
ほう
Oh. Egg? I suppose its shape did resemble an egg, so this man knows something about it?
俺たちはその気配を追っていたのだからな。だが、あれはただの次元爆弾のはず。
Ooh, its presence is what brought us here. However, the egg is merely a time bomb.
貴様が見せた異常の力とは、何の関わりも。
It shouldn't be able to grant such
あ
unnatural...
るのでしょうね。
Oh, maybe it can. A different voice interrupts the man, this one high and melodic. It carries a strange echo like fingers rapping against a ceramic bowl. Could it be his tsurugi itself speaking?
今回、銀星号がばらまいている7個の卵は、私の野立ちと掛け合わせて作られたもの。あの卵には、私の力が宿っている。
Spider waifu? New spider waifu? This time, Ginseigo combined its 7 eggs with the fragments of my Nodachi. The eggs, therefore, carry my power.
では、
And that...
さっきの非常識なしのぎの理由でしょうね。そしておそらく、鋼鉄のふざけた硬さも。
That would explain the outrageous Shinogi just now. It also is probably contributing to Shinkai's absurd durability.
どう 井上泉の神？あいにくと私は後世のことに詳しくはないけど、摂津家事が独力であれだけの性能を完成させられたとはどうしても思えない。
Say you, Lord of Izumi. I'm afraid my knowledge of those who came after me is limited, but I rather doubt the smiths of Setsu could have developed such strong armor on their own.
それとも過小評価？16葉菊をいただく剣のあれが真骨頂なのかしら？
Or did I sell you short? Is that the true worth of a tsurugi that was awarded the Emperor's 16-leaf chrysanthemum?
いいな。貴殿の指摘は正国を得ている。
Negative. Shinkai responds, further shocking me. Your observation is indeed accurate. Wait. Is it my imagination or is there a hint of deference in Shinkai's metallic voice? No, it can't be. Your operating system is giving away information to your opponent. You know you're losing when.
東方の力は東方を侵食する異物によって高められている。この異物の詳細は解析できなかったが、
My abilities are
こ
being
れは貴殿らの力か。
My abilities are being heightened by the foreign element present in my armor. I've been unable to fully analyze its nature, but now I see that it originates with you, or rather, with one of your line.
迷惑をかけているみたいね。
I suppose I should apologize.
ご配慮は無用。いかなる形であれ、先人の技に触れるは喜びである。
Unnecessary. To touch the work of one's predecessors, no matter what form, is always a pleasure.
その辺にしろ、深海。
That's enough, Shinkai. I cut in, annoyed by the entirely too friendly tone of their conversation. You know it's bad when your armor is simping for the enemy. There wasn't much said I don't understand. There was much said I don't understand, but I caught enough of it to know that none of it matters.
くだらんことをごちゃごちゃと。時間稼ぎのつもりか、村正。往生際の悪い。武者なら武者らしく。
No more chatter. Are you trying to buy time, Muramasa? Pathetic. A Musha should die with grace.
そうだな。
Indeed. This time, the Tsurugi's pilot answers, his flat tone closer to what I expect from a Tsurugi than Muramasa's, or even Shinkai's was.
今の言には全く同意する。では、武者らしく潔く散れ、鈴川両部。
Alright, I could not agree more. Therefore, Suzukawa Ryobu, die with grace as a Musha should. With that, the Crimson Musha wheels and charges from below, an overwhelming disadvantage. Doesn't he understand his position? Not only has he lost the high ground, but his damage is greater than mine. This battle's already over.
どの過ぎた虚勢は不愉快なものだな。初めて知ったぞ。いいさ、深海。夢くらいは許してやる。
And now I know how
妄想
irritating
に浸
bravado
らせ
can
た
be.
まま、奴を葬れ。
Let him have his dreams, Shinkai. We'll finish him before he wakes.
承知。
Understood. Weakling, now I see you for the pitiful thing you are. After your arrogance and bluster in the end, you refuse to admit defeat. How ugly. A foul creature like you deserves only one end. Fall and die in disgrace.
エンチャント、マイナス。
Enchant minus.
流れ、変える。
I part the flows. Oh shit, here we go. He's using his abilities.
今のは
What was that?
磁力障壁の発動を確認。
Electromagnetic barrier detected. My attack was deflected and not by Muramasa's armor. A strange sensation like pounding a sledgehammer against a tire lingers in my hands. He used magnetic fields to repel my attack. That must be how he blunted the impact of the maelstrom.
おのれ、しぶとい。
Die already. It's looking like you're still in a tough spot, especially if he has auto repair.
しのぎの継続使用は指定の負担が大。連続的な攻撃による突破が妥当である。
Hold up. Use of Shinogi drains energy from the pilot. Consider repeated attacks to wear down enemy defenses. I'd just like to point out that the light at the bottom of the bar is completely empty. Completely empty. It's gray. I'm suspecting he is out of juice. Or flying on fumes. He doesn't have, at the very least, he shouldn't have enough to use Shinogi. Any of his Shinogi left. That will take too long. I can't bear to look at this insect a moment more. My sword can't make it through his barrier. I'll use an attack that can. Yakarantan. I focus the power within me, drawing the currents. It's seizing the currents, drawing them together, and unleashing them.
Kurua kuru kuru.
Kuru kuru. What? What's going on? The world's losing color? What did I say? And that's not all. Speed dropping. Balance failing. Body cold. Why am I so cold?
Shinkai, どうしたのだ?
Shinkai, what's happening? No response. No answer, or is there? I heard what sounds like static coming from far away.
限界が来たようだな。
So you've reached your limit.
Muramasa! これは何だ? 限界とはどういう意味だ? お前が何かをしたのか?
Muramasa, what is this? What do you mean limit? Is this your doing?
俺は何もしていない。それは貴様の未熟が招いた現象。フリーズだ。
No, it's the result of your own incompetence. Freeze!
フリーズ?
Freeze?
無者の旋回軌道は激しい G がかかるため、血液が下がり、視力障害を生じることがある。だがこれは通常、さほど問題にはならない。
The G-forces...
剣の防護が働く
It's
か
still
ら。
going. The G-forces sustained during combat maneuvers place great strain on the pilot, potentially forcing blood away from the head and causing loss of consciousness. Normally, however, this doesn't occur. Our tsurugi's power protects
し
us.
かし別の理由により、剣の防護が弱まれば、これは途端に身近な危険となる。
But if our tsurugi's protection is weakened by freeze,
問題は視
blackout
力
becomes a
障
very
害だ
real
けで
threat.
済ませはしない。
And that is only the least of the dangers.
フリーズ。剣は能力を発揮するために、ユーザーのカロリーを絶えず消費する。強大な力を使うときほど、消耗も莫大だ。
Freeze is caused by caloric deficiency. A tsurugi constantly drains calories from its pilot to sustain its functions, and the greater the power used, the greater the drain.
その消費量が、肉体の耐久限界を超えれば、
And if the consumption exceeds the body's limit,
今の貴
then
様
the
の
pilot
ような
experiences what you are now.
貴様の熱量は、先の大規模なしのぎですでに底をついていたのだ。その上にさらに無理を重ねれば、結果は、
Your caloric reserves are already near
剣
empty
は
after
ほ
that
ぼ
massive
完全に機
shinogi.
能停止。
Any further attempt to draw such power could only result in total cessation of function. It looks like a defense is better than offense in this meta. Which kind of makes sense considering they can't even one-shot each other when they're like attacking head-on multiple times. At least these two guys can't. Because he used the same defense like 3 times, and his defense was able to defend the large, overwhelming attack as well as smaller strikes. And he's able to use it a few times. That said, I don't actually know. Maybe it's just more efficient. Who knows? Maybe this particular attack's more efficient. It's not really clear. As it's not the normal setup for this guy's tsurugi, right? The magnetic field is, but the water control is not. Alright, so any attempt to draw more power would only result in cessation of function. Yep.
そんな.
No. Impossible. I didn't know about this. Why didn't someone tell me? Why didn't they warn me before this happened?
これは武者にとって常識以前の事柄。しかし、生身の者しか相手にせず、限界を味わうことのなかった貴様が
As they
死
know
ぬ
their
はず
own
もない。
names. But you've only preyed on the helpless. Without facing another Musha in battle, you couldn't have known your own limits. I'd also like to point out there's no music here. They just cut the music for this guy's defeat because, hey, he's realizing something and there's actually no engine sounds because his engine's gone. In fact, the battle's basically over. If you haven't fought before, I guess you don't know your limits. Ripperoni.
鈴川両部。他人の手を借りるまでもなく。
I wonder if this was Muramasa's plan.
自分自身で招いたな。
Just waste this guy's
貴様
juice,
はほどなく
play
強くする。
efficiently, and just watch him die to his own stupidity. That'd be funny. You reap the price with your own hands. Or reap with your own hands the price of your deeds. Soon you will crash from the sky.
が、その鋼鉄の強度があれば、死ぬことはあるまい。
But
そして俺は貴様の生存を認められない。
the strength of Shinkai's armor may well protect you from death, and I can't allow
俺
you
の
to
手で
live.
送る。
Therefore, your end will come at my hand.
嫌だ。
No. Might be. What was his original plan? I mean, we don't know what the game plan of the Muramasa armor is. This guy's default is like blood control, which seems very awkward for use versus other tsurugis. Unless he can use it if there's a chink in the armor, maybe, and just like rip blood out of people to kill them quickly. That could be kind of cool. Yeah, he didn't know at the start. He fought an idiot. So he might have been trying to find out how he even had expeditions. Yeah. So I'm thinking, if I was Muramasa, either my game plan is wearing him down because I'm like a more durable type, I have very efficient defenses. I have auto repair. Seems like a tank class where you're just like, I'm gonna wear this guy down. He's gonna lose because I have more health than him. He's not gonna kill me. I'll just fight. We'll trade blows, and I'll win long term. That might be his game plan. Or he might have just been waiting for an opportunity to use like magnetism and crush him, because in theory you should be able to use magnetism on another tsurugi or some shit. Who knows? Yeah, the ancient power of the shield poke. Don't diss the shield poke. Phalanx is super effective. Phalanx is a classic and extremely effective strategy. So yeah, I think that could have been his plan. I mean, based on the abilities we've seen him use basically magic to protect himself and magic repair powers that this guy didn't demonstrate. So it seems like he's a more durable form. Maybe he has offensive abilities he just didn't need to use. Maybe his original plan was just to say, like, poke the enemy, you know, go in there, trade some blows, don't do anything super committal, just to see what your opponent's like, right? When you're fighting an unknown enemy, you don't want to, like, you don't know if they're like a blade master, you don't know if their mech's super mobile. I mean, he probably got evidence that the thing wasn't as fast because he was catching up to it. So all he knows is that, okay, this mech's not as fast as me. Is it more mobile? Is it tankier? Is the guy a swordsman? Does the guy have some crazy abilities? Seems like there's a lot you need to figure out. Supreme Sovereign can't be targeted by effects. True, true. I mean, he did say the blood didn't work. The tsurugi can't be targeted with blood. I can't die. Not yet. Move, body, move. Shinkai, whoa, won't you move? Move. I can't die here. I have beauty to save. I still...
さらばだ。鈴川両部。人の美しさにすがった弱者。
Farewell, Suzukawa Ryobu. You of small heart who clung to the beauty of others.
貴様は悪の一語のみで断ずるべき人間ではないのかもしれない。だが美しいものは貴様のような脆弱さを求めてはいなかったのだ。
Perhaps it would be wrong to label a man like you simply evil, but whatever the case, beauty has no need of your weakness. Through my rapidly dimming vision, I see the Crimson Musha sheath his sword. He prepares himself for EI. For EI, the art of drawing one's blade and striking the enemy in a single, unbroken motion.
Shinkai!
双極の磁力。その吸引と反発の作用を居合の技に持ち込むか。
Dipolar magnetic fields, EI strengthened by the forces of attraction and repulsion. It's gonna do massive damage.
なんという恐ろしき工夫よ。ここまで精密かつ高圧の力を御すは、してにとっても剣にとっても、まさしく生死を天に預ける綱渡りのはず。
Railgun sword,
そ
yeah.
れを止めている。
Railgun sword draw, that's what it is. The someone imbibes such violent energy risks destroying both Tsurugi and Pilot, and yet they've succeeded.
Shinkai!
Sorry, dude, you're gone.
我がしてよ。武の軌道を歩んだ者の逃れ得ぬ定め。今がその時と存ずる。
Master, all who walk the path of blood and battle must one day meet their end, and I respectfully submit that now is our time. My tsurugi does not move at my command, it only tells me to accept the inevitable. That I'm gonna die. The demon Muramasa Wow, what a... Expecting a title drop again? Hated and feared for bringing ruin to all who behold it is about to unleash its curse. Understanding comes to me like the word of God. Shinkai's armor, this impenetrable wall that has protected me until now, will be powerless to stop what is coming. And now I know, though far too late, my enemy's true nature. Muramasa is death, absolute and inescapable. It is oblivion. I should never have faced it. I should have run while I had the chance.
いかに堅固な城塞とて稲妻の前には脆いもの
Even the strongest fortress keep is dust before the hammer of light.
エンチャントエンディング
Enchant ending.
了解。死を始めましょう。
Command accepted. Let's start the killing then.
吉野恩流合戦霊法陣内が崩し
Yoshino Onryu Kasen Reho. Adapted from Shinrai.
レールガンマガツ
Railgun Magatsu. He knows it's a railgun. Yo, we have the real AI.
イカで罠心の月を表して
How might I call forth the moon from my soul?
闇に惑える
That its light may shepherd the lost through the
寺
darkness.
さ
Damn, that's quite the explosion. And we're just sitting there like, am I dead? The boy watches. The shining warriors streak through the sunset. They charge in me, part, and then the bronze light bursts and scatters. The boy bears witness to the flash that splits the sky and to the moment that its peerless speed and power reduce even the mightiest of bulwarks to ash. Boy looks on, his gaze following the victorious crimson as it vanishes into the distance.
Muramasa.
Muramasa. He watches, and watches, and watches. And as he watches, a flame grows in his heart. And here it is.
野立ちの
An Odachi's hilt. Ah, we gotta get our sword pieces. He's on a collection quest. Kill five elites to reclaim your sword.
これで一つ。
One down, 6 to
残り
go.
は6つね。
My bad. Claim 7 parts. It's one of those irritating fetch quests with a lot of with a lot of progress to be made. Oh.
深海深海のマーカーが消えた消えちまいましたねいやおいおい
Gone.
どうするべよ
Oh shit, that ain't good.
あた写真いらねで済めばいいんだけどね
Wasn't my fault. Sure hope they'll take that for an answer. Well, Shinkai's gone. Now back to our characters. Now back to the characters who aren't the pilot of Muramasa. I lie in bed and stare at the ceiling. There's nothing else I can do, not even sleep. The breeze blowing through the open window is cold, but not so cold as to keep me awake. It even feels good against my skin, yet still I can't sleep. I could get up and move around, I suppose, but the hole in my foot would make that a painful endeavor. It doesn't hurt much at the moment, but that's only because I'm staying still. I see no reason to throw away this comfort. Like I said, there's nothing to do but lie in bed and stare at the ceiling. That and roast in the fire of my soul. Officer Minato must have called the police. They came for us soon after I saw the bronze Musha explode. I'm sure I don't have to say that we were taken straight to the hospital. I got off with some stitches and a painkiller. The other two weren't so lucky. I didn't see for myself, but I hear they were sent to intensive care. You don't say. Someone who had multiple limbs severed went to intensive care. And the other one had like lost their eyes from a katana blade? Yeah, intensive care is right. They're probably still there. I wanted to stay until they were out of surgery, but everyone shouted at me to go home and rest. I get it. There's nothing I could do, and I'd have been a nuisance at best. I left just as Kanatsu and Tadayasu's parents showed up, and a police car took me home. I've been alone in the house since, listening to the wind. There's a lot to think about. Everyone's gonna want me to tell them what happened. The cops probably told them a little, but oh yeah, I'll bet they'll want to question me too. No one asked me anything at the hospital. They were probably being considerate, but I can't take advantage of that forever. As the least hurt of the three of us, it's my responsibility to tell the story. I have to tell them everything, no matter how much it hurts to relive. I should probably practice first. I'm not very good at explaining things. There's plenty more to occupy my thoughts too. From what I'll do for breakfast tomorrow, well, everything about Izukawa. And of course, there's my friends, Konatsu, Tadayasu, Ritsu. The reality of what befell them. There's a lot to think about, almost too much right now, however, I'm dealing with none of it. Tomorrow, when I rise from this bed tomorrow, I'll finally have to face the stark, bitter truth of what happened to us today. I have little doubt that my heart will be crushed. When I think of Konatsu's severed limbs, and Tadayasu's flashed eyes, and Ritsu's decapitated body, I'll writhe in my bed and howl in wordless grief. I know this anguish awaits me, and for now, however, I'm granted reprieve, protected from pain by the excitement of burning inside of me. Tonight I'll give myself to these flames that I may make it through the sorrow to come. If there is any difference between who I was yesterday and who I am today, it is this. Now I have something to believe in. Justice. I couldn't believe in it when it was just a word. The idea alone wasn't enough. An ideal with no substance that couldn't capture my heart? That's why I gave up. Telling myself that justice didn't exist, but now I've seen it with my own eyes. Justice appeared before me, manifesting in a form that can support my faith. Justice only has meaning when there's someone to embody it, someone to take up the sword and strike down the wicked. I thought there was no such thing. The only image the word warrior brought to my mind was the Rokuhara, a legion of jackals who used their strength to satisfy their greed. I thought that was all, that Rokuhara's tyranny was the whole of might. The mighty gather beneath their banner to oppress the weak, and there are no warriors willing to fight on behalf of the powerless. But I was wrong. They do exist. I know a man who fights not for himself, but to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Well, he was looking for someone else, not actually caring about that guy. Even though he's the only one through him I can believe in justice. It's not just a lofty ideal anymore, not just dried ink upon the pages of a dictionary. Now there's an example. A beacon leading me down the righteous path. And so I'll walk it. I'll follow the guiding star that has at last appeared in the night. And I'll...
いかがなさいました、お嬢様。
Is something the matter, mistress?
おお、そういえば新田様のお宅はこの近くでした。
I believe we're
立
close
ち
to
寄って
Mr.
行かれ
Nita's
るおつ
house.
もりですか？
Shall we pay him a visit? How do you know where Mr. Nita lives? I mean, obviously there's more to your story, since you're suspiciously knowledgeable, but I think it'd be very weird to have someone you met once show up at your house and be like, hey, how's it going, bro? You're like, excuse me? How do you know where I live?
お嬢様？
Mistress?
今、赤い何かが空をよぎったような。
Just now I saw something red dart across the sky.
赤い何か。
Something red?
さよ、あなたは何も見ていなくて。
You didn't see it?
ご無理をおっしゃいますな。お嬢様の目にさえ定かならぬものがどうしてこの老婆に見えましょう。
Look at
流
these old
れ
eyes.
星か何かでは？
Even yours couldn't make out clearly. Are you certain it wasn't a shooting star?
星。私の目が完全な信頼を置いて良いものなら、あれは
A star?
だったような。
If my eyes are indeed to be trusted, I believe it was a musha.
はあ、夜だというのにまあ幕府の方々は相変わらずお忙しいようで迷惑なことですな。
The
勤
Shogun's
勉
men
な
are
暴
awfully
君
busy
とは
at this hour.
全くなんとも。
How bothersome. Better a lazy tyrant than a vigilant one, if you ask me.
もちろんお嬢様の目は確かでございますよ。
Well, needless to say, your mistress, your eyes are always right.
幕府。
Rokuhara.
そうね。
Yes, that's probably
そう
all
なの
it
で
is.
しょうね。珍しくもない。
Routine
た
patrol.
だ、それだけのこと。
Nothing to worry about.
なのに、
Then why?
どうして。
Why do I feel so...
お嬢様？
Mistress? Yes, a random tsurugi, inspiring feelings in you from like 20 miles away.
Ah.
Yeah, I guess that it has magic. It has telekinesis to pull from like half a mile below it. Why not? A crimson light is shining in the garden, casting away the darkness. I look outside, and there stands Justice.
来てくれたんだ。
Oh, you came! I crawl out to the garden and kneel upright before the Musha, who looks down at me in silence. His metal eyes are cold and lifeless, but it doesn't matter. I know the gentle gaze hidden behind the mask. Good night, my friend. Good night. Muramasa, the Crimson Musha. I wanted to see him, sure. Every detail of his appearance is burned into my memory, but that's not the same. I hoped I'd have another chance to see him in person and to talk to him once more. And now my wish has been granted and Muramasa is here. Did he come back just to see me? No, don't be stupid. He's probably here to question me about Suzukawa. Being the only hero in a shitty world has to be a round-the-clock job. He wouldn't be here unless he had a good reason. I mean, I guess it's possible he wanted to check on me too, but that's no reason to take advantage of his kindness. I'll just answer his questions and let him get on with the business of righting wrongs. Or I'd like to, but I can't contain myself. The excitement of being face to face with my crimson idol is too strong.
あのさ、なんて言ったらいいのかな。言いたいことがすごくいっぱいあるんだけど。
I don't really know what to say.
どう言えばいいんだか。
There's so much I want to tell you, but I don't know where to start.
その、
I believe in you.
俺、あんたのことを信じるよ。あんたのことを信じる。あんたの戦いを信じる。あんたの正義を信じる。
I don't know anything about this guy, but he saved my life, therefore I'll believe everything he does. He's the perfect human being. I believe in you. I believe in your fight, and I believe in your justice. I believe in your path.
俺さ、一
Tell you the
度
truth.
あんたに失望したんだ。
I lost faith in you once before.
乃木山の連中に絡まれた時、あの時土下座したあんたを見て、俺は思ってた。こいつ戦う時には戦
When you
うな
bowed
んて
to
言っ
those
てたくせに
Nogiyama punks, I thought this
口だ
guy
けじゃねえかって。
this guy said when it's time to fight, you fight, but he was all talk.
こんな奴を信じそうになってた俺がバカ
I
だ
told
ったって
myself I was stupid for trusting you. But I was wrong. I mean,
違
I
った
was
んだ
stupid.
な。
But that's not for the
俺が
reasons
バ
I
カなの
thought.
はその通りだったけど、意味が違った。あんたは戦わねばならない時には戦うって言ったんだ。あんなチンピラどもなんて戦わなきゃならない相手じゃなかっ
I mean,
た。
you said a man fights when he must. Those punks weren't enemies who needed fighting.
こっちが頭を下げてりゃ、それで有頂天になるような連中なんだから。本当に強いやつは、そんなのをいちいち相手にしない。
Ah.
そうだよ。そういうもんだ。
They were the kind of idiots who'd celebrate just because someone bowed to them. A real warrior wasn't waste strength on such chumps. I get it now. You're right.
あんたが戦うのは、そうする以外にどうしようもない時だけ。超人の武者が生身の人間に刃を向ける。
Ah,
そんな時だけ、あんたは戦うんだ。
you only fight when there's no other choice. When evil Musha use their power to prey on the defenseless, that's when you take up your sword. So much hero worship. Anyone tasting death flags?
村正になって、
You become
自分を
Muramasa.
守る力のない誰かのために。
You protect those who can't protect themselves. Muramasa. Officer Minato says nothing, and I get this silly idea that maybe he's embarrassed. He doesn't have anything to say. It's
それ
kind
が
of
分かった
stoic.
から。俺はあんたを信じる。
Now that I know, I've decided to believe in you.
この世には正義があるってことを信じる。正しく生きようとすることには意味があるって信じる。
I'll believe there's justice in this world. I'll believe that there's meaning in the righteous path.
そうすることが強さだって信じる。
I'll believe that's true strength. Damn, why does everything I say sound so cheap? Even though the ideas I'm trying to express are anything but that. Is it because I'm the one talking? Yeah, it's my fault. Unlike Muramasa, I still haven't done anything. I can talk about believing in justice, but until I actually put that belief into action, they're just empty words. No wonder they sound so cheap. But I won't stay that way forever. I'm gonna change. I want to change. So for now, I'll believe.
信じるよ。この世には村正っていう名の正義の味方がいるってことを。
I'll believe there's a real hero in this world, and his name is Muramasa. In before he's like taking a nap inside his armor. I regard Muramasa, his burnished crimson armor the color of blood. Menacing, yes, but also dependable. I know it to be a symbol of his determination, his commitment to fighting injustice. The swords at his hip glitter golden, angelic halos against a backdrop of flame. His terrible, grimacing helmet is terrible to behold, and his chest is thick as a fortress wall. No warrior could be more frightening to have as an enemy or more encouraging to have as a friend. Muramasa, the gentle Musha with the cursed name. He looks down at me and shakes his head. You're wrong. There are no heroes. When he finally speaks, his voice is a whisper in the wind whipping across frozen plains. For a few moments I just stare in confusion and then nod to myself as understanding dawns on me. Come on, you could do with a little more self-esteem. I'm sure you're insanely harsh on yourself. No matter what you accomplish, you'll never be satisfied with less than perfection. You're probably beating yourself up for not getting us all out unhurt, and that's why you won't admit you're a hero. But you saved us, man. That's what matters. If you hadn't come, the three of us would be dead and in boxes right now. You're the reason we're still alive. I want to show my gratitude, but you won't let me? You hate yourself that much? Kinda sad, but it's okay. I'll believe in you all the same. You're my hero, the one Musha in all of Yamato who fights for justice, the one and only champion of good. There are no heroes, not in this world. There are no heroes, Nita Yuhi.
いるよ。
There are. I extend my hand to the shining crimson
ここにい
tsurugi.
る。
There's one right here. I believe in you. You're the ideal I'll strive to reach. And one day, I'm sure of it, we'll fight side by side. Huh? What am I doing on the ground? Ripperoni. That was sudden. Why is my vision all blurry? I can't see my hero like this. What's wrong with me? Have I finally collapsed from exhaustion? Yeah, I've been through a lot, but come on, pull yourself together, man. You don't want to look weak in front of Muramasa, right? Oh, yeah, I can barely see. It's like my head's not getting enough blood. I wonder why my foot was hardly bleeding. I guess it must be the exhaustion after all. I want to get up, but I can't move a finger, like my body's gone and taken a vacation or something. It's pathetic. It'd be nice to get at least a look at Muramasa, but my vision's fading. What's wrong with my eyes? I feel something cold and wet on my cheeks. What's this? Am I crying? Why? I must be sad. I must be really sad about something, and that's why the tears won't stop. But what do I have to be sad about? Oh, it's because I can't see Muramasa. The tears are blurring my vision. I can't make him out. That must be why I can't stop crying. Don't be sad. He'll wait for me to get up. He's nice like that. I'll just take a little nap here. It's not like there's anything else I can do. I'll take a nap, and then when I'm rested, I'll get up again, and Muramasa will be there. Then I can follow him chasing my dream. The road to justice is long, and I'm just getting started.
Minato Kageaki、鈴川亮部及び新田祐希の殺害容疑により逮捕する。
Minato Kageaki, you're under arrest for the murders of Suzukawa Ryobu and Nita Yuhi.
ご苦労だった。
Well done. October 12th, 41st year of Koryu. Minato Kageaki is remanded to the custody of Kanto District Jail. Charges: murder, 13 counts. Parricide, 1 count. It's not a story of heroes. There's no place for heroes here. Chapter 1, The Crimson. Over. Interesting, he was the killer, yep. Interesting. Alright. It's a good place to end things. Nice. Alright. Let's enjoy this OP. I guess he's the main character now. I mean, there's a small chance, there is a infinitesimal chance that his two friends survive. But since they know his identity, they're almost certainly dead too. But why? You have questions about why he went back and killed them? I assume it's because he can't be known to have a tsurugi, as he's working under the table and not directly for the Rokuhara. So he has to kill anyone who finds out that he pilots a tsurugi. That's probably what it is. I doubt that our protagonist has the... I doubt that our previous viewpoint character was a character who had who had achieved the notice of the person in charge of the province. That seems unlikely. So it's probably a standing order to kill anyone who's aware that he controls tsurugi. Which makes the real question, why the ever-loving fuck did he parry a shot that was going to kill the kid? My bigger question is, why did he even bother parrying an attack that would save him if he's just gonna murder him? I guess it's for informational purposes. He's like, maybe he can give me information if I open up a dialogue with him and then I kill him because he's investigating stuff. I think that's what I'd lean towards. Anyway, it looks like we're starting chapter 2. I'm gonna click the big old quick save button, because we're going to wrap things up here. We'll continue this tomorrow, and we'll see just how our new viewpoint character is.